Alita and Gilbert Garza are suing 21-year-old student Elaine Palacios for damage to their Dodge Ram, impound charges, and a new tire. Elaine says her cousin Jessica Ortiz gave her permission to drive it.
All rise. Yeah, this is case number 586 on the calendar in the matter of Garza versus Palacios. You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Mr. and Mrs. Garza, is this your granddaughter?
Yes, ma'am.
Step up, please. Who's going to speak? Then you can sit. I know that you're going to be very happy. I'm going to let you sit down.
Thank you.
See how happy he is? Look, he says, I'm off the hook. I'm sitting down. Nobody's going to ask me a question. I can sit here and relax. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Mrs. Garza, you are the owner of an automobile.
Yes, ma'am.
And you allowed your granddaughter to borrow your automobile.
Mm-hmm.
And when you got your automobile back, it was severely damaged. And it is your claim that that's as a result of this young lady driving the car while intoxicated and having a couple of accidents causing the car to be impounded. You want her to pay for the damage.
Right.
But you have no first-hand knowledge of this other than the fact that you gave permission to your granddaughter
to use the truck.
To use the car.
It's a truck.
It's a truck? What kind of a truck is it?
It's a Dodge Ram.
And when did you give your granddaughter permission to use it?
On the 13th of August.
Had she had possession of the car? Was she regularly driving the car?
She lives with us, so she runs errands and she does her thing in the car. Yeah.
I see. Do you want to sit down next to your husband? Because now I've answered the questions that I have except for the damages and what they cost.
Oh, okay.
So why don't you sit down next to your husband? What's your first name?
Jessica.
How old are you?
I'm 19.
Do you work?
No, I don't.
What do you do?
I'm a student.
You said that... I'm a student. Where are you a student?
I'm going to a GED program right now.
When did you start?
I've been there for a few months already.
What did you do before that?
I just was at home.
Who else lives in your grandparents' house other than you?
My son.
So that's what you were doing. How old is your son?
He's 4.
Your grandmother let you borrow the truck on August 13th to do what?
I was just going to use it, go out.
Where was your son?
He was at home with my grandparents.
You were going to use it to go out where?
To go party.
What time?
I'm not sure what time it was.
Give me an approximation.
It was probably 7 in the afternoon.
7 o'clock is usually referred to as the evening.
Oh, in the evening. I'm sorry.
How did she get possession of the truck?
I went to go pick her up.
She a friend of yours?
She's my cousin.
Where were you going?
To another friend's house.
For what?
Just to go hang out.
Name of the friend?
I don't know whose
hard
house
questions are going to follow. These are easy questions.
Well, we went to go pick up Andrew at his friend's house, and that's where it was at. That's where we were at.
Andrew. Who is he? I know that that's who you are, but who are you?
Oh, he's
related?
just,
Is he your friend? Your
yeah,
boyfriend?
he's just a friend.
Okay, so in the early evening, Jessica gets in the truck, leaves her 4-year-old responsibility with her grandparents, which I assume is the standard operating procedure in the house, so she could go hang out and have a party. She picks you up. How did you get possession of the truck?
My understanding, it was about like 6 o'clock in the morning.
6 o'clock? How did we get from 7 o'clock at night to 6 o'clock in the morning?
I don't know. Time just flew by, and by the time we knew it, it was 6 o'clock in the morning.
How old are you?
I'm 21 now.
What do you do?
I'm a customer service representative.
So you're employed?
Yes.
Thank God for small favors. What about you? Do you work?
Yes.
So before you know it, it got to be 6 o'clock in the morning. Where were you at 6 o'clock in the morning?
We were going to...
No, you, not we. You.
I was in the truck.
You were in the truck at 6 o'clock in the morning. Where was your son?
He was at home.
So you were in the truck at 6 o'clock in the morning, and how did Elaine get possession of the truck? Jessica?
Because we were going to stay the night at my parents' house, and...
The night was over at 6 o'clock in the morning. I know you have trouble with that, but it's 6 o'clock in the morning. Now it's morning.
We were going to my parents' house, And they had asked to borrow the car to go to the store, and the store's just down the street from my parents' house, and I let them borrow it. Told them to come back, and...
They never came back?
They never came back.
Is that what happened?
That's what happened.
Well, when she got out of the truck, who got in the driver's seat?
I believe I did. Well, yeah. My understanding, let me put it that way. Because it's, I mean, the night, it's a big blur to me. It really is.
Did you just say the night is a big blur to me?
Yes. I don't really remember a lot of what happened.
What about you, Andrew? Do you remember what happened?
A little bit of it.
Well, you want to stand up here and tell me what you remember.
After we used the truck, we went to my grandmother's work to pick up some money for gas.
What'd you need more gas for?
Because I was going to go pick up some clothes from my mom's house.
Okay, so you're on your way to your mom's house. You've dropped her off. Two of you who have a marginal recollection of what happened on that morning because you were both what?
Intoxicated.
What about her? Was she intoxicated?
Yes.
Is that right?
No, ma'am, I wasn't.
Had you been drinking?
A little bit.
The car was in how many accidents that morning?
2.
Tell me about them. Who's going to remember to tell me about them?
A car had backed up into us at 8-pack. And after that, we had left. Because the police came, they let us go because it was on private property. And we were heading to my mom's house, and that's what happened when we were wrecked.
Now, slowly tell me what happened when you were going to your mom's house.
Well, when I was going to my mom's house, I went to under the mall where we parked cars. I went on the very bottom. And then there was
Who was
another...
driving?
Me.
Who was driving when the first accident happened?
I was.
What was she doing?
She couldn't drive. She was drunk. I was.
Well, what about you?
I wasn't as intoxicated as her, but I was just...
Yes, he was.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You made a mistake, but you had a baby. You visited that on your grandparents. And it would seem to me that what you're supposed to do is make their life as simple as possible, not more complicated.
And later today,
they're on little mini bikes and skateboards, and I've actually seen them blocking traffic.
Who does that?
My friends.
Is he one of your friends?
Yes, ma'am.
Who was out there that day?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 19-year-old Jessica Ortiz says during a night of heavy drinking, her cousin, Elaine Palacios, crashed her grandparents' truck. Elaine says Jessica should also be held responsible.
When she got out of the car, she was driving.
Yes.
So she loaned the car to Elaine.
Yes.
How did you get in a position to be in the driver's seat?
She had asked me to drive.
When? At what point?
A couple hours after we used the truck.
Well, weren't you supposed to go to the store and come right back?
Yes.
So why didn't you?
I don't know.
Sit down. All right, let's move on. This truck was impounded. The truck had a lot of damage. It's your position, Elaine.
Yes.
That it's her fault for letting you take the car because you were drunk.
Not fully, but I don't think that I should be held responsible for the whole damages to the truck alone.
Who should be?
I think that me, Jessica, and Andrew should be held responsible for it.
Well, she didn't sue Andrew.
Right.
So you would say that between the two of you, she's also responsible because she let you take the car knowing that you had been drinking.
Yes.
I agree with you. All right, Miss Garza, could you step up, please, and let me see the bills?
Yes, ma'am. You know, the insurance did pay us $5,000 on the truck. The truck in the blue book, it's worth $8,000 and some $100. Her mom did pay.
Shh, just a second. Okay, let me work out some numbers here. Do you still have the truck?
No, ma'am, the insurance took it.
And what you're telling me is the blue book value on the car was about $8,000. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh. Ms. Garza, I believe your granddaughter is partially responsible for what happened on that day. I believe she is at least 1/3 responsible, which means that Elaine here would be responsible for $2,000. Now, Elaine is perfectly capable of going to court and suing Andrew for half. I'm not dealing with that now. But your granddaughter exercised very poor judgment.
Yes, ma'am.
So the Case is easy, but I have a couple of questions for Miss Attitude over here. How long had she been living with you with her 4-year-old son?
Since before the 4-year-old son. She's lived with me on and off all her life.
But there was a period of time she didn't live with you.
Right.
That's when she became pregnant?
Right.
When she became pregnant, she moved back in with you before he was born?
When he was about 3 months old.
Where was she living before that?
With her, the father of the baby. But my husband went and got her.
Does the father have anything to do with the child?
He sees him, but does not support him.
So you have two winners. You have two parents who don't support their child, the mother and the father.
Right.
And this one goes out and parties. Let me tell you something, Jessica. You better grow up. You made a mistake, you had a baby. You visited that on your grandparents, who at a time in their life are supposed to be just enjoying each other and relaxing, have been burdened with a responsibility because of your stupidity. And it would seem to me that what you're supposed to do is make their life as simple as possible, not more complicated. And going out at 7 o'clock at night and coming home 6 o'clock in the morning is not what a responsible mother does. Do I make myself clear? Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I was going to pay for it, and when it came down to it, the plaintiff wasn't cooperative, so therefore we came here to Judge Judy.
The truck had the A-frame was damaged. There was no fixing it.
I feel bad because they always bring it up and throw it in my face.
We had to go pick it up, and there was whiskey bottles and beer bottles.
The police were involved twice, and actually the second time is when we actually got arrested.
They could have had an accident and gotten killed, or God only knows, kill somebody else.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Pender versus Garrison. Step forward, please.
Engineer David Pender is suing children's services worker Joan Garrison for the cost of medical bills. David claims Joan's poodle bit his 14-year-old son, Edward, while he was skateboarding.
Mr. Pender, which one of these two boys was bitten by the defendant's dog?
My son, Edward Pender.
All right, why don't you sit down? How old are you, Edward?
14.
Who were you out skateboarding with?
My friend Alex Berkemeyer, Mike, and my two friends, Ricky.
You always skateboard with them?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you skateboarding on the sidewalk or in the street?
Sidewalk.
How many of you were in the sidewalk?
One, just me.
Why were you on the sidewalk? Tom is not an answer.
Seemed like the right thing to do, Your Honor. It seemed
I
like
don't
the right
understand
thing
what you mean.
to
It seemed like the right thing to do. What were you doing on the sidewalk?
I was skateboarding.
Had you been in the street with your friends?
No, ma'am.
So what happened when you passed Mrs. Garrison, who was walking with her two dogs who were on leashes?
I have my skateboard, if you would like me to demonstrate for you, Your Honor.
No, I wouldn't. I want you to use your words.
I was riding past her, and then I was swinging my left hand. And
How were you swinging your left hand?
Like this, moving it back and forth, and then her dog bit me whenever it was about at my hip, Your Honor.
Now, were you on a hill?
No, ma'am.
Now, when you were going down this street, did you see the defendant and her two dogs?
It was a while until I saw her.
How far away was she from where you were skateboarding?
About 5 feet, ma'am.
When you first saw her?
Yes, ma'am.
You mean she just appeared out of nowhere? Or you weren't looking?
I wasn't looking, ma'am.
And I assume that when you drive down the sidewalk on the skateboard, the reason you do this arm movement is to get more leverage, isn't that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So you can go
faster.
So you're going faster, and you're not looking where you're going, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And when you passed by Miss Garrison, how close did you come to her?
About 1 foot.
And she had how many dogs with her?
2.
How big were they?
Probably about this high.
So there's you going too fast, not looking where you're going on the skateboard, and Miss Garrison walking with her 2 standard-sized poodles?
Correct, Your Honor.
How wide is the sidewalk?
Probably about 3 feet.
That's not very wide. Now, if you had been looking where you were going and weren't going so fast, and if you had seen her walking with her 2 dogs that were on a leash, what would you have done?
Probably just kept on going, ma'am.
Well, that would have been very stupid of you, Mr. Pender. You think that you frightened her?
Yes, ma'am.
You have no right to do that. All right, Miss Garrison, now I'm finished with him. Temporarily.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Because We know what happened. Right, Mr. Pender?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you've got your two standard poodles walking with them. They're on leashes. What do you see?
I was walking along the sidewalk, and actually I've seen this group of kids several times before in my neighborhood where I'm walking. They're on little mini bikes and skateboards, and they actually will, they aren't on the sidewalk, they're in the street, and they will stay in the street, and I've actually seen them blocking traffic. On this particular...
Who does that?
Not me, Your Honor.
Who?
My friends.
That's not nice. Is he one of your friends?
Yes, ma'am.
Who was out there that day?
No, ma'am.
Oh, he's just here just because he wants to come to court?
No, ma'am.
What's he here for?
He was there because he was the one that was helping me, trying to get her. Because she wouldn't stop whenever I was calling her.
Now listen to me, sir. Was he with you that day on his skateboard?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, it's either yes or no. 2 seconds ago it was no, now it's yes. So he was on his skateboard.
Yes, ma'am.
So he was one of the kids that, according to you, was in the street because you were the only one on the sidewalk.
Yes, ma'am.
So he's one of the people that she's talking about, according to you, that was in the street that day blocking traffic.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm walking my dogs, and I see them coming down the hill, and this young man decided to leave the street and ride off, and I actually have pictures of the area. And you can't see, but he took a drive. He got out of the street through a driveway and basically rode his skateboard right into me.
Okay. So he was riding in the street with his friends?
Yes, he was.
No question in your mind?
No.
And then at some point, he went up through a driveway and decided to come down on the sidewalk.
Correct.
And he got bitten because your dog was frightened.
I didn't know what was happening. I was concerned. I've seen these kids before.
Got bitten on the hand? Where were you bitten?
On my left hand, Your Honor.
Your Honor, he showed me his elbow. And
I don't care whether he showed you his elbow or he showed you his hand. Whose fault was it?
Hers, Your Honor.
You're supposed to be smarter than a poodle. I am sure your father raised you in the hopes that you would be smarter than a poodle.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you frightened her poodle because you were doing the wrong thing, that's your fault. The poodle wasn't chasing you down the street, was it?
No, ma'am.
Huh?
No, ma'am.
That's what happens when you do the wrong thing, Mr. Pender. You do the wrong thing, sometimes bad things happen to you. And you got bitten. Just because you got bitten doesn't mean it's her fault. You and I know exactly what happened that day.
That's right.
All right. Anything you want to say to me, sir?
No, ma'am.
Perfect. Case dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Yeah, this is case number 578 on the calendar in the matter of Cabanero versus Taru.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. Cabanero, Miss Taru was formerly your girlfriend.
Yes.
You have a child together.
Correct.
How old is that child?
7 years old.
A little girl.
Yes.
And you have an order of visitation with the child.
Yes.
You are currently married, I assume, to this lady.
Yes.
And you have 1 or 2 children?
I have 2 children and 1 on the way.
According to your complaint, during a scheduled visitation, you noticed that your daughter had a recurrence of a severe eczema problem that she suffers from.
Yes.
You tried to contact her mother. Her mother had turned off her cell phone. So you contacted the child's grandmother,
Correct.
Miss Taru's mother, and you told her that you were planning on taking the child to the doctor.
Yes, ma'am.
Then you went to work.
That's correct.
Miss Taru became upset that you planned to take the child to the doctor. She came to your home when your wife was at home, and according to you, broke your security door.
Yes.
Ms. Taru says you owe her over $4,000 in child support, so what are you complaining about?
The child support's getting taken out of my check. My check's getting garnished every week.
What is the child support order that you have for your daughter?
It's, I believe it's $400 something a month.
How much is this child support order?
$214.
$214 a month.
Correct. He does have another child, is the reason that they take more than just my amount out. He has another child with a mother that also garnishes wages out of his check.
Is that right?
Yes.
You got a lot of children, Mr. Cabanero. You must be very rich.
With children, yeah.
Those are your riches, sir. But sometimes you have to think with this. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now you can stand up. Your name is Mrs. Cabanero, and you tell me, Mrs. Cabanero, what happened when Miss Teru came to your house?
Lena made arrangements with my mother-in-law for the daughter to come over for the weekend on February 11th. And after dinner, I decided to give her a bath. When I got her ready for her bath, I saw that she had whelps on her from her eczema, and she has sores on her arms, all over her chest, thighs, and both eyes, and it was fully all over her body. And when I did give her a lukewarm bath, she did cry that it did hurt her skin.
How long has your daughter suffered from eczema?
Since she was born, Your Honor, since she was 6 days old.
When was the last time prior to February 11th that the child had seen a physician?
On January 31st.
When had it become so exacerbated to cause concern to the police officer who came and saw the child?
It's always been that way, Your Honor. I have a letter from her doctor.
I'd like to see the letter from
Yes.
her doctor.
I got pictures of it also.
I'd like to see the photograph.
Can I mention that it's hereditary, and my sister also suffers the severe disease as well and has the same exact symptoms, and she's 24 years old, Your Honor.
And that was just recent pictures.
I have a couple of questions for you.
Sure.
This letter from the doctor, which you furnished me,
Correct.
says that you told the doctor that Alexa, that's your daughter,
Correct.
was found with her stepsister involved in sexual play.
Correct.
How old is that child?
At that time, she was 2 years old.
And how old was your daughter?
I want to say 5.
So they're baby playing.
Correct.
All right. What I need, because he says that he couldn't get this eczema under control, so he sent you to a dermatologist.
Yes.
Doctor, I'd like to see a report is when you last took the child to see Doctor.
I don't have a statement.
Well,
with
when
me.
prior to February 11th had the child seen Doctor?
The beginning of January.
This is too serious a condition, madam, to wait 6 weeks.
No, Your Honor, I have several medications that my daughter is on that I use on a typical basis.
Did the police officer who responded that day tell you better take this child immediately to the doctor?
No, she suggested that I take her to the doctor, or she would have, well, yes, actually, yes, you're right, correct. Or that she would call an ambulance and have
You're
her take
absolutely right, because the police officer who responded that day viewed this situation as critical enough to say, unless you guarantee me that you're going to take the child immediately to the
She would not
doctor,
release her.
she's taking the child by ambulance to the hospital.
Correct.
So when did you take the child to the
That same day.
dermatologist?
Oh, I didn't take her to the dermatologist, Your Honor. I took her to the regular doctor because it was a Saturday.
When did you take her to the dermatologist?
She hasn't been, Your Honor.
That's neglect.
I have no medical coverage right now, Your Honor.
I don't care what you have to do to get enough money to take your child to the dermatologist. Your doctor, in a letter that you gave me, madam, from your doctor, the doctor says this problem is so serious and so intractable that I cannot treat the child. Correct. So I referred her to a dermatologist, which you didn't take her to.
He also doesn't provide medical coverage for my daughter, Your Honor.
What difference does that make? He said,
because
listen to me very carefully. I read your answer. Your answer said that you got angry,
Correct.
that he was going to take the child to the doctor.
Correct.
So you went over to pick her up.
I did.
And it would seem to me that on February 11th, since you haven't had the child to the dermatologist since the beginning of January because you have no medical coverage, that if the child's father was prepared to take her to a doctor to look into this situation that was unremitting while in your care, you wouldn't get angry. You would say, thank you.
No.
Thank you. Not, she's mine and I'll take care of it.
Your Honor,
Listen to me. That's what a mother does. A mother does not say, I'm not going to let him because that's my job and he has no right to do that. Mother says, if I don't have medical coverage and my husband doesn't provide enough for me to take the child to the dermatologist, if the child's father's going to do that, let him. That's great just as long as the child gets cared for. So the fact that you went over there and made a fuss over there that day is stupid.
I did take my daughter to the doctor that day. I could not take her to dermatology that day
The doctor says he can't help her. This is the letter you gave me. The doctor
was the
says
weekend, Your Honor.
I cannot help her. That was a Saturday. Did you take the child to the dermatologist Monday?
No, because my coverage ended.
Is she not following me?
I could not.
Is she not following me?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I asked about the door.
This getting to the door.
Get there faster. I'm losing
And
patience with the door when I'm looking at her behind like this. I'm losing patience with everybody.
And later today,
she got in her car, whipped out her driveway, and drove off real fast. And it was an older dude. He kicked her car.
Nasty.
Nice little kick.
For no reason. Just stupid.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Alex Caballero says his child's mother, Lena Teru, damaged his front door by kicking it. Alex also says Lena is neglecting their daughter.
You got bigger problems than a door. I don't know what you're here wasting your time for with a door for $300 that got broken. I would save my energy and my time off from work by pursuing, if you feel as if you can provide the child with a better situation, with pursuing either more liberal rights with regard to this child's medical care or custody of this child if you feel as if you can provide for the child so that a child doesn't have to have these kind of wilts because these two people can't provide the child with appropriate medical care. Do you understand?
He now provides medical coverage for us, Your Honor.
It's not good enough. I guarantee you that if he was walking around with this on his behind, or you would have gotten yourself to a doctor and had it taken care of. Guaranteed.
On his knee.
And the fact that this child is 7 years old and has no voice, and you have to be this child's voice, is to me an abomination that you would allow the child to walk around for 6 weeks like this. Now, you want to talk about your door?
Yeah.
How did the door get broken?
When she, after that incident, I had a phone conversation with her stating that she was going to come over and pick up the daughter. I stated to her that her daughter needed to see a physician that day, and then she continued to call me names over the phone, so I hung up on her.
I asked about the door.
This getting to the door.
Get there faster. I'm losing patience with the door when I'm looking at her behind like this. I'm losing patience with everybody.
She came to the house, continued to ring the doorbell. I answered the front door, and we did have a security screen door. She asked for her daughter. I told her no. And she continued to say, I'm going to kick you, I'm going to kill you. As soon as you come out of here, I'm going to get you. And I told her, if she don't get off my property right now, I'm going to call the sheriffs. And as soon as I said that, she started to pull and bang and yank on the security screen door.
You have a picture of the door?
I also have a witness, that my neighbor, that also seen all of it.
Is the witness here?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let me see. Where's the witness?
He's in the back.
Okay, let's bring out the witness, please.
You swear to tell the truth in these matters?
Yes.
State your name for the record, please.
Travis Smith.
Mr. Smith, are you a neighbor of these people?
Yes, I am.
All right, I'm going to direct your attention to the 12th of February of 2005. Were you home on that day?
Yes, I was.
Did you witness an altercation between this defendant and the plaintiff's wife?
Yes.
Would you tell me what you observed, please?
I heard a bunch of yelling and screaming.
What did you hear?
I heard, open the door, give me my kid, something to that effect. A lot of profanity.
By whom?
Defendant. At the time, I didn't realize it was actually her that was screaming the profanity. I thought it was the people down the street that were fighting. I came outside, and when I noticed that it was actually coming across the street, I approached her, just trying to figure out what was going on.
What did you say to her?
Basically, I asked, what's going on? Because I'm new to the neighborhood. I want to, trying to learn my neighbors. And
okay, she said, what's going on? And she said,
oh, I'm trying to get my baby. They have my baby, and she won't let me have her. She goes, I have the cops on the way, and I walked her out onto the sidewalk. And I said, well, if the police are on their way, then why don't you stand here, calm down, let the police do their job.
Okay. Is that all you saw?
Pretty much.
Can I mention my side of what he said?
Go ahead.
When he came outside, he asked me, is that Alexis and Alicia fighting again? And I said, no, it's me screaming at her to give me my daughter.
Is that what you said?
No. I didn't even know her name at the time. I didn't even know he had another daughter. That's how new of the street I was.
He might have said Alex and his wife fighting again.
I said, are they fighting again? I thought it was people down the street.
He had said that they were fighting last weekend, the weekend prior to the February 12th.
No.
She was so upset she doesn't know.
Well,
The only thing she wasn't upset about, the only thing Miss Tarou wasn't upset about was this.
That's...
You owe him the money for the door, madam, $322. Judgment for the plaintiff in that amount. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I just want to get my daughter taken care of, and I just want her to take responsibility for the actions she did.
I think she's jealous, and because that was her first love, and I came in between.
I told her I'd kill her. She didn't give me my daughter. That's right, I did.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lang versus Lewis Finch. Step forward, please.
Legal assistant Mary Lang is suing 16-year-old Timothy Finch Jr. and his mother, Octavia Lewis, for the cost to fix her car. Mary says Timothy dented the vehicle by kicking it.
Miss Lang, it is your claim that this young man dented your car.
That is correct.
By kicking it?
Yes.
Mr. Finch says that it was not him.
Okay.
When did it happen and where?
On February 3rd of this year, I was getting into my car. The defendants and some other kids were across the street, and they were throwing snowballs at me. I then got in.
How many kids?
There's a bus stop there, and the kids, there's a high school down the street, and the kids stand at that bus stop.
So how many
About
kids?
20.
Go ahead.
I then got into my car, and I backed up, and I stopped at that stop sign where the bus stop is. And the defendant was standing at the bus stop, but he was standing out in the road, not exactly on the sidewalk.
What specifically about the defendant caused you to remember him?
He had a camouflage jacket on.
Anyone other than the defendant wearing a camouflage jacket?
No, Your Honor.
Just one?
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Mary Lang claims 16-year-old Timothy Finch Jr. vandalized her car by kicking it. Timothy says Mary's got the wrong guy.
Okay, tell me exactly what you saw.
Well, I had to go a little slow because I was watching out for these kids that were in the road, and there was another car coming this way, and I was making a right-hand turn. So I was looking to make sure that I wasn't hitting these kids or whatever, and I saw the defendant kick my car in the passenger side mirror.
What did you do?
I then pulled up to see if there was any damage, and there was. There was a nice dent in my car. And I went back to my apartment, and I called 911. My apartment is right across the street from the bus stop.
Okay. I want to hear what Mr. Finch has to say.
I had detention in school, and I got into a problem earlier in the week in school, so they wasn't going to let me out the building until they knew the bus was exactly coming. So when I left out the school, I was walking down the street, and all you heard was like, oh, like they was yelling, like we thought it was a fight or something. So we walked down there, and then it was like a Caucasian, like a heavyset boy was across the street, and other kids was running at him, tackling them, jumping on them, and then they was throwing snowballs at her also. And then they was kept on throwing them, so she went in her doorway, she called the cops. And then I guess the cops ain't come, so she got in her car. She whipped out her driveway, and then she drove off real fast and turned the corner. I was standing next to her, and then there was a whole lot of other people in front of me. And then when she turned, it was an older dude that was out there that ain't go to school. He kicked her car. She stopped, and when she got her car, she said, "You're gonna pay for this damage at my car." She was looking at the dude right in his face when she said it, and then she bagged up, and then she went in her driveway, and then she got back in the doorway.
What did this dude look like?
He was dark-skinned. He had a camouflage coat on, he had a black hoodie, and he had a braids on, but he had a hat on.
Had you ever seen him before?
I seen him. He come up to our school mostly every day. But he don't go to our school. He just come up there mostly every day.
What does he do at your school if he doesn't go to school there?
He just come up there every day. He just be out there talking to everybody.
Every day?
Every day.
So you've seen him 50 times?
Yes.
And no question that you could identify him?
Yes.
You have a police report?
I do, Your Honor.
I'd like to see it. Now, they took you off the bus, is that right?
Yes.
Did this older guy also get on the bus?
No, once she called the cops, him and the other two dudes that was with him, they went off back towards, I don't know, towards Granite. That's the street back that way.
Now, when the police took you off the bus, did you tell the police at that time that you could identify the true perpetrator because he came to your school every day and you know who he is? Did you tell that to them?
No, I didn't.
Well, you just told me, and it would seem to me logical, Mr. Finch, that if you had not committed this crime and the police took you off the bus, you would have said, listen, it was this older dude who comes to the school every day, who I know, because I've seen him at least 50 times, I can point him out to you. I would tell that to the police like that. This young lady, step up, whose name is?
LaToya.
That LaToya, who was standing right next to you, right? That's what you said.
Yes.
You saw exactly what he saw, right?
Yes.
You were waiting for him because he got detention?
No, I was also in detention.
Everybody's in detention. Now, after he got pulled off the bus, were you on the bus with him?
Yes.
Did you get off the bus?
Yes.
Did you tell the police that it wasn't him, it was this other guy? He told me about this other guy who did it.
Yes, I told them when they were on the bus.
You told that to the police?
When they were on the bus, we pointed to people, the two boys that actually did it, to her car, but they didn't take them. They took him and another boy.
Are you telling me that you told the police that it was boys on the bus who caused the dent to her car?
Yes.
Sit down. He says they had walked away already. Okay. Can I see pictures of the car, please? Nasty.
Nice little kick.
For no reason. Just because they're being stupid. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
This is case number 420 on the calendar in the matter of Tumber versus Sotanko. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Mr. Tumber, this is your former wife and her present husband. And the two of you have been divorced for some time. You have a 17-year-old son. I assume that that is this young man over here. Is that right? According to the complaint that I've read, recently, after your divorce and after your former wife was remarried, she ran into some financial difficulty and called you and asked you for a loan. You obliged, according to you, advanced her some money, I think $750.
That's correct.
You want the money back.
Correct.
And in addition, your former wife and her husband purchased a car for your son.
Correct.
And you invested some money in that car in repairing it.
Correct.
Then you decided to buy your son a newer car. And according to you, there was an understanding that they would reimburse you when they sold the old car for the money that you had invested in it so that you could sort of put it towards the new car that you were buying for him.
Correct.
They sold the car and they didn't give you the money that you had invested in it.
Correct.
So you also want that money.
Correct.
Okay. When did your former wife call you for this initial loan?
It was around the beginning of this year, but around January.
What happened? You ran into some financial difficulty?
The financial difficulty wasn't about me necessarily. It was regarding my son and expenses that we had with the car, with medical, and with a phone bill.
What do you mean the car? What kind of expenses?
Okay, the car that we purchased for my son was a car that we knew...
I don't care what you knew. You had expenses because you had to have it fixed?
Yes.
And how much did you need to have the car fixed?
There were different parts that we needed to buy. My husband did the repairs.
So you spent some of the money that he gave you to fix the car?
Correct.
How much?
The total that we spent on the repairs, just the parts alone of the receipts I could find...
Yes.
...was $224.03.
$224 to fix the car?
For the parts.
Fine. I don't care what your husband's labor was. That's not important to me. What else did you need money for?
My son had a cell bill.
Who bought him a cell phone?
I did.
So why was it your former husband's responsibility?
It wasn't, except for my son went over the minutes, and he did this more than one occasion.
Did your former wife tell you, Mrs. Sotanko, tell you that this money she was asking you for was for your son?
No, Your Honor, she didn't.
What did she tell you?
It was for mortgages on the home that she was in arrears of.
Were you in arrears on your mortgage?
I was never in arrears on my mortgage.
Did you tell him that you needed money to pay your mortgage?
I told him that I couldn't pay the mortgage and everything else, that my son's cell bill was so much money, my son's medical bills that the insurance didn't cover was so much money.
You pay child support, sir?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
How much do you pay?
Just shy of $600 a month, I believe.
Okay. How much money did you
Your
give?
Honor, that's not true.
How much does he give you?
$370 a month.
How do you account for the discrepancy, Mr. Tumber?
I'm not sure how much I pay, to be honest with you, Your Honor.
So why don't you say, I'm not sure? I don't know is something that a man can say.
I don't know.
3 little words.
I don't know.
Don't know.
Correct, thank you.
Well, you should know how much child support you pay. Do you pay it pursuant to income deduction order? Or
Yes.
So it comes right out of your pay?
Right out of my check, yes.
So it's not $600, it's $370 a month, according to you. Is that what you receive, or do you receive more if there is some in arrears?
$370 a month, Your Honor.
Period?
Period.
Okay, fine. How much money did you loan to her, sir?
$750.
Oh, that's not true, Your Honor.
Show me.
Your Honor, I'd like to
You have
submit...
a check?
Yes.
Let me see it,
Canceled checks with her signature on them.
Your Honor, he could have written anything in after the fact.
No, I'm just looking at the canceled checks, madam. And I'm even looking for the memo. The memo is irrelevant. You owe him $750. I think it's very nice that you can call him and say, listen, I ran into some financial difficulties and I need some money and your son lives with me, so could you do it for me?
But, Your Honor, that's not how it happened.
Did you sell the car? We're
Yes,
going to
we
get to the
sold the
car
car.
now.
But-
Just a second. We're going to get to the car. You and your husband bought a car, and you bought a car for your son. And according to you, some of the money that you got from him was used to fix the car.
Correct.
Right. Then you sold the car.
Correct.
How much money did you give him? I just answer my question. How
Zero.
much money did you give
Zero.
him? Zero. How much did you sell the car for?
$1,000.
Well, if he paid for the parts to fix the car, why didn't you think it was appropriate that if he was buying your son a new car, for you not to at least reimburse him for what he had spent? Don't you think that that's appropriate? Fair? Reasonable? If I believe you, Mrs. Satango, if I believe you, you were able to call your former husband and say to him, despite the fact that you are under a court order and paid child support, it's not enough. Because I have some bills that I'm having trouble paying for our son. He went over his minutes on a cell phone that I bought him. That's not his fault. You choose to buy him a cell phone, 17-year-old kid, and he's not responsible enough? That's not his father's problem because you provided him with the vehicle to be irresponsible. But he was, according to you, he was a nice guy and said, here's the money. According to you, he was a nice guy when you say I had to fix the car and I need some parts. According to you, he was a nice guy, gave you the money. According to you, despite the fact that he pays child support and is not in arrears, he had some unreimbursed medical bills, and he said, here's the money. So I'm asking you, if he was a nice guy, how come when you sold the car and he was buying him a new car, you didn't say, here's the money that you laid out for the parts?
The car was bought because the car that we bought for my son wasn't good enough, wasn't cool enough. They bought the car. I had nothing to do with that, neither did my husband. We have endured financial difficulty. We did not say that we were going to give him the money. It wasn't for my son to barter. It wasn't for him to barter. We paid the mortgage with the money, and that's the circumstance we're under right now.
So why didn't you just say that to me instead of giving me a whole lot of who shot John? You paid the mortgage. You borrowed money from him and paid a mortgage.
I thought you knew that. I'm sorry.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're supposed to be responsible. You're supposed to be moral. You're supposed to be a moral example for your child. You are not.
I am not.
No, you are not.
And later today,
The only thing that saved my dog's life is the fact that she's 90 pounds.
I saw the dogs basically tearing it apart.
If she had been a smaller dog, the injuries would have killed her.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Paul Tumber says ex-wife Stephanie Sotenko owes for a loan and for proceeds from the sale of their son's vehicle.
Listen, you're a nice guy and she owes you $750 because I believe it was a loan. Now, you tell me about the contract that you say you had with her with regard to paying you back for the money that you invested in the old car.
Okay, well, the verbal contract was that when the vehicle was sold, that I would recoup the money for the parts for the repairs, which I have canceled checks for right here.
Can I see them, please? And
who there never was a
who did you make?
I'm sorry?
Who did you make this contract with, sir?
With Stephanie.
Can I say something, Your Honor, or do I need to speak in turn? Or
no, now you tell me.
As far as the car, how many fathers give money toward repairs of their son's car and then ask for it back after the car is sold?
Well, let me tell you what usually happens. Usually, if boy has a car and if he wants a better car, and his parents, they are reasonable, say, listen, we'll sell this car, we'll use whatever money we get from this car, we'll put it towards another car. That's what parents do. What you did was you took money from your former husband, because these are your canceled checks.
I didn't take money toward the...
Yes, you did.
Your Honor, I did not ask him for the money for the parts for the car. He willingly gave me that money.
Because he's a nice guy.
So he was a nice guy and did that for our son.
Just a second, he's a nice guy. And you're supposed to be responsible. You're supposed to be moral. You're supposed to be a moral example for your child. You are not.
I am not?
No, you are not. You are not.
Okay.
Because if he is being a nice guy, what you're supposed to be is a moral example for your son and say, listen, we sold the car for $1,000. You put in practically that. I'm speaking. You put in practically that. I'll be more than happy to give that money towards the new car so that we will jointly, in some way, have contributed to the car that our son is driving. You chose not to do that. You owe him the money for the repairs to the car because I believe you had an agreement, if you sold the car, to give him back that money. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,595. That's it.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
If I had had the money, morally, I would have given the money.
I'm in a financial position. I don't make a lot of money, that I just wanted my funds back.
I didn't really want to be here, but I guess it's the best way to do it.
It's no love lost between my son and I.
Be sure that you know what and who you're dealing with.
Did we learn anything today? I don't really think so.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Valerio versus Gunderson, step forward.
Customer service rep Summer Valerio is suing fellow dog owner, 21-year-old customer service rep Gabe Gunderson, for vet bills. Summer says Gabe's pit bull attacked her dog.
Ms. Valerio, you claim that the defendant's dog injured your dog during a fight.
Yes.
And you want the defendant to pay the vet bills.
Correct.
For your dog. Mr. Gunderson says that there was a dog fight. Your dog got the worst of the fight, and your dog shouldn't have been there anyway. So you'll explain that to me. What kind of a dog do you have?
She's a Mastiff Lab mix.
That's a big dog?
Yes.
And where was the dog?
In March of 2004, I made arrangements with Janice Rawson to keep my dogs at her house because she had just bought a house, and me and my boyfriend at the time broke up, and I was moving into a condo and didn't feel it was fair to take my 2 large dogs to a condominium with me. So she agreed to keep the dogs, and I continued to pay for their food and their vet bills while they were in her care until I made new living arrangements.
Just a second. So you left your dogs with this lady in March. Step up. What's your name?
My name is Janice Rawson.
You have a large piece of property?
It's a house with a yard.
You have your own dogs?
No.
What kind of dogs? One was a Mastiff mix, and what was the other?
Pit Bull Boxer mix.
Also a big dog?
Yes.
Who else lives in your house?
At the time when I moved in, it was Jeffrey, her now husband, and Dustin.
Jeffrey, her now husband.
The boyfriend I had separated from. And then we got back together and got married. But it was a temporary separation. He was living with her, with the dogs there at the time.
Oh. So not only did you place your dogs with her, but you placed your ex-boyfriend there, too.
Yes.
Now, tell me about Mr. Gunderson.
Mr. Gunderson moved in with me when Summer...
What do you do, rent rooms?
Yes. I have a 4-bedroom house.
Okay, so you rented a room to him. Okay.
Mr. Gunderson moved in with me when Jeffrey moved in with Summer, and they got married, and then I rented a room to Gabe.
So Mr. Gunderson moved in with a...
Male pit bull.
So now you have 3 dogs in your house.
3 dogs.
Is that the dog that injured her dog?
No, that's a separate dog.
Well, where did the separate dog come from?
We went on vacation to San Diego. We were told by Jeffrey.
Who's we?
Me, Janice, a different group of friends of ours. We were told by Jeffrey before we left on a certain date the dogs would be gone. We get back from San Diego. I pick up the dog who got
Picked up what dog?
The dog that's the reason why we're here, the one that attacked her dog. Or
You mean
got
a
into
second
fight with
dog?
us.
You picked
The
up a second dog.
Right. Picked that dog up. I got home, found out that Jeff and Summer did not live up to their end of the bargain as far as taking those dogs back like we were told.
Your Honor. Well, why did you need a second dog?
I asked Janice. I wanted a female so I can breed. I asked Janice. She said that'd be fine.
Is that right?
Yes, but the condition was that he could only get the second dog when her dogs were gone, and it wasn't an exact date of when they were going to take the dogs back. It was a hopeful date. So he should have made sure that the dogs were gone before he actually picked up the pit bull.
Well, he didn't. So on what date did you pick up the pit bull?
October 9th.
And what date was this fight that caused the injury to Miss Valerio's dog?
On the 28th, same month.
So why didn't you tell me how to get rid of the dog?
Well, I like dogs, and it's not, you know, and the family who had the dog before couldn't keep the dog, and so it didn't really have anywhere to go back to except for the pound, and I didn't want to see that happen, so...
Okay, so you allowed him to keep the dog there. Fine.
Yes.
Now tell me about the fight.
My other witness here is the one that broke up the dog fight and basically saved my dog's life.
Is that right?
Yes.
Good. Between the 9th of October and the day that this happened, did you visit your dogs?
Yes, and I actually, a couple weekends prior, had taken Justice to my house for the weekend. I would take her sometimes for 3 or 4 days at a time.
So you knew he had both dogs there?
Yes, but I did not know that that dog had a history of being aggressive. He, on the other hand, did.
Were you home when Miss Valerio's dog was injured?
No, no.
You were? Step up. Tell me your name. Miss Rosen, you may sit down.
Noelle Cook.
I'll hear you.
Okay. I was at home, and I just heard the dogs fighting in the backyard, and I went to look over the fence, and I saw the dogs, his female and kind of his male. His male kept coming in and out of the fight. They had her dog pinned on the ground and basically tearing it apart.
And I have pictures, Your Honor.
I'd like to see it.
And also her vet bills and her medical records.
I'd like to see the pictures first.
Saved my dog's life is the fact that she's 90 pounds. If she had been a smaller dog, the injuries would have killed her.
Mr. Gunderson, you understand, sir, that sometimes pit bulls have been known to be aggressive dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yes.
How did you find out about the dog?
They lived actually across the street from a friend of mine. I've seen them before. Saw an ad in the paper. I called them, found out that it was the same people. So I've talked to them. I've seen the dog before, been around the dog before. It wasn't a big issue.
Did they have children?
They have one kid, yes.
And they felt that the dog was not appropriate to live with.
Well, they have 2 other dogs.
Look at me.
They have 2 other
They felt
dogs.
that the dog was not appropriate to live with them. Otherwise, what reason do you have to get rid of a dog?
Yeah, well,
If you have other dogs. It's not an allergy.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Gunderson, pay careful attention. I'm very smart. This dog, you knew that the dog had had some problems. Is that right?
Right.
Who do you think is responsible, therefore, for a dog that has had certain problems in the past when the dog attacks again?
The owner of that dog.
That's you.
Mm-hmm.
You were aware of the dog's previous problems with the prior owner. Why you would choose to take a dog that had had problems, I don't know. And why you would choose to breed a dog that had prior problems, I for sure don't know. You have an answer to either of those questions?
I knew about the situation. I explained to Janice before I even got the dog.
I'm not talking about Janice. I'm asking you why you would choose to take a dog that had problems.
Because I had nowhere to go, so I took it.
And why, if it had nowhere else to go when you know the dog has certain character problems, why would you choose to breed a dog like that?
It's one fight. I didn't think it'd be a big deal, to be honest.
Well,
I've
now
been around.
you know better, right?
Yeah.
Good. Now I'll see the vet bills. That was easy.
Your Honor, each page is an individual invoice. The total actually came to what I wrote on the front. And she had to be kept in the hospital for 7 days.
Do you understand, sir? We all make certain choices when we get a pet. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to choose a pet that doesn't have violent propensities. You chose a pet that you knew had had problems enough so that a prior owner was looking to get rid of it. You took it. Not only did you take it, but you made a choice, because one of the reasons that you told me you chose to take this dog is because you wanted to breed it, to propagate whatever character flaws that this dog had. That is stupid. Very stupid. It's going to cost you $2,455.50. That's all. Step out.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Your Honor, this is case number 472 on the calendar, the matter of Weaver versus Wisner. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mr. and Mrs. Weaver, according to your complaint, you hired the defendant to perform your wedding ceremony, and you paid her $150?
Yes.
And Ms. Wisner didn't come to the ceremony. She came about an hour late after you called her. She gave you your money back, $150, and did what she had to do because somebody else had performed the ceremony, so she signed the marriage certificate. She apologized, she gave you back your money, and now you want tons of money for your aggravation.
I don't want tons.
Well, you paid her $150 and you're suing her for $1,000.
Yep.
First of all, she didn't apologize.
Well, she apologized by giving you back your money.
That doesn't make up for keeping a room full of people waiting. I mean, when it's your wedding day, that's the last thing you think of is that your preacher's not going to show up.
Terrible.
Yep. And then she sits in an 8-by-8 room waiting for her to come in. It just...
Mr. Weaver, I'm going to let you do the entire thing. You contacted her. The wedding was supposed to take place when and what time?
December 30th at 6:30 p.m.
And she didn't show up. She wasn't there at 6:30, so you called her.
Right.
And what time did you call her?
I got right here on my cell phone bill. It was 6:34. I called.
And did you get her on the phone?
No, left a message.
Okay, and then what happened?
I tried her cell phone at 6:44.
And did you get her?
No, left a message. Then I tried again at 6:57.
Okay.
Got a hold of her.
Good. And what did you say to her, and what did she say to you?
I said, Miss Weisner, Stu Weaver, aren't you supposed to be somewhere about now? And she goes, oh my God, was that tonight? And I go, yes, I think it was. And she goes, well, I've had travel problems. And I said, I don't hear about your travel problems. I have people here from Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Florida. She goes, well, we got laid over in Atlanta. And I said, so this is what you call taking $150 of money and run. She goes, oh, my, don't say that. And I says, we have someone we think that'll perform the ceremony.
And who was that?
That was a coworker of Lisa's.
Well, how could she perform the ceremony?
She is an ordained minister for her church.
Oh, good.
But she is not recognized by the state of Ohio.
Okay, but she's an ordained minister for the church, and
Yes,
she's
ma'am.
performed...
And she did not get there until about 7 o'clock herself.
But she was a guest?
Yes, she was a guest.
She
had never performed a wedding before.
Okay, she was a guest. She got there at 7. You asked her to perform the wedding.
Yes.
What time was the ceremony performed?
Let's say about 7:15.
It was...
Okay. And how many people did you have at the wedding?
Between 80 and 85.
Now, you told Ms. Weisner to come because she had to sign the certificate.
I asked if she could come and sign the marriage certificate.
And what did she say?
She says, well, I don't think I can make it tonight. Can we arrange it tomorrow? And I says, well, yeah, if you can fly to Hawaii tomorrow, because we leave at 5:30 in the morning for Hawaii.
Okay, and what did she say?
He hauled around a little bit. Of course, she was ill like I am today. So, and she goes, well, I will be there when I can get there.
And what time did she arrive?
I think it was around 9:30.
And what did she do when she arrived at 9:30?
Well, she come in the door and we filled out the form and she signed a marriage certificate and then she handed over a check.
And what did she say when she handed over the check?
She says it's the first time in 12 years. This has never happened in 12 years.
Okay, and you took the check?
Yes.
Good. What happened to your travel plans?
We had planned a trip out here to be with family at Christmas time, and it truly was the trip to hell and back. We ended up our first night out spending the night on the airport floor in Cincinnati, and finally made it to California. Everything absolutely went wrong through the whole trip. We got on the plane on December 29th. We were to have been home that night. We ended up being stuck in Atlanta that night. We didn't get back until December 30th in the afternoon. In the meantime, I got very ill, and the stress of the trip and everything, I just went right to bed, thinking that I know I have a ceremony the day after we get home, and I was in such a muddle that it didn't occur to me that that was the day. I was thinking it was the next day.
Okay. You got there at 9:30?
No.
What time did you get there?
I didn't get there any later than 7:30 because I was home by 8 o'clock and back in bed.
And how far do you live from where the wedding was?
About 15 minutes.
Okay. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Weaver, you got married that day, correct?
Yes.
And you were married by 7:15.
Yes.
45 minutes after the invitations said that the wedding was going to take place, because the invitations called for 6:30.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes. That is right.
Okay. Everybody knows when invitations read 6:30, wedding usually starts about a half hour later.
No, 6:30 is when
No,
the wedding...
that's not what I'm saying to you, sir.
Well, Miss Weisner...
I'm speaking. All I want you to tell me is what you're suing for. I want to hear what you're suing for.
Okay, we're suing for. Here we go. We had to pay the DJ, which I have evidence of, an extra $150.
Good.
And I have my future wife in an 8-by-8 bathroom for 45 minutes.
not knowing if we're going to have a wedding or
So,
not.
yeah,
We have a
you're
room
right.
full of people. She was supposed to be there at 6 p.m. to do a rehearsal. She said if you don't have a formal rehearsal the night before, that she requires that you be there 30 minutes prior to the start of the ceremony to go do a walkthrough. Well, we had none of that. And she's talking about a stressful trip. We had a very, very stressful wedding.
I understand that. I understand. How do you
But
put
she
a
didn't
dog-
even say she was sorry that
I
night.
did.
Not
I
to me.
apologize profusely. You wouldn't
We have
even.
witnesses.
You
Don't-
wouldn't
do me a
even
favor,
look at
don't.
me for me to apologize.
If
to
you're going
you.
to, don't speak to each other.
Sorry, Your Honor.
Now, Mrs. Weaver, I can understand your stress, but I don't understand why you choose to prolong that stress by instituting a lawsuit for $1,000 for stress when you got married, and whether it was from 7:15 or 7:45 until the wedding was over, I assume that you danced together because you had a DJ. I assume that you had dinner. I assume that you conversed with friends. I assume that you told this story innumerable times that the minister didn't show up for your wedding. You know, that will make a good story for you to tell 20 years from now. What I don't understand is why you choose to prolong whatever stress you had by bringing on a lawsuit. I could understand that if she didn't give you your money back, but she came and without even you asking, she handed you back your check, which indicates to me that she felt terrible about what had happened.
We still feel that we should have had a phone call.
She didn't even
She had
call.
all 3 numbers to call and say, hey, I'm
She
not gonna-"
just said to you, sir, she got into bed and she really thought in her own mind that the wedding was scheduled for the day after she got back. It was a big mistake. And according to you, you said to me, when you got her on the phone, she said to you, oh, is that today? Which pretty much is what she says, that she thought it was the next day. How could she have called you? What was she supposed to do, call you and tell you, I think I have a wedding tomorrow? She made a mistake. Mistakes don't always
yeah,
comport
but
to
in
a
that
lawsuit.
profession, that's not a mistake. In that profession, that is not a mistake.
Now, what do you do for a living?
I drive a truck.
Ever make a mistake?
Yes.
Ever not get to where you're supposed to get on time?
Yes.
Did your boss dock you
Yes.
because you made a mistake? How would you feel if he turned around and sued you for his aggravation for an additional $1,000? Just a minute. I'm asking you a question. Would you think that your boss was out of order if he turned around and said, you know, I had a lot of people on my tail because you didn't get there on time, so in addition to docking you, I'm going to sue you for $1,000 or $2,000 for my aggravation? Would you think he was stupid?
He could do that, I guess.
I said, would you think he was stupid?
No.
Sure you would. And I think
No.
similarly, case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I told you not to come on this show.
Really, the main thing that I wanted, it was the principle of the thing. An apology would have been nice that night.
I did apologize profusely, but Mrs. Weaver would not make eye contact with me and would not speak to me.
It was terrible. I mean, I'm in this little room and there's no preacher there.
Panic, yes. Panic's the word.
I think people create their own disasters and their own problems, and they need to take life as it comes.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Jaramillo versus Adamo. Step forward, please.
Administrative assistant Catherine Jaramillo is suing the mother of her daughter's ex-boyfriend, medical transcriber Barbara Adamo, for a loan to catch up on her bills.
Ms. Jaramillo, according to what I've read in your complaint, your daughter and the defendant's son used to date.
Yes.
And that's how you knew her.
Yes.
How long did they date?
About 3 years.
And Miss Adamo at some point had some financial difficulties. You claim a series of loans to her, loans amounting to $2,950.
Yes.
The kids are no longer an item, they're no longer together. Miss Adamo says that while maybe she acknowledges one loan to help her pay her rent, she'd never received any other money from you. And in addition, she says that there was some sort of a set-off for that rent money, which she's going to tell me about. When and why did you make the first loan?
My daughter came to me and said, you know, can you help her out a little bit? They don't have any food in their house. Both of her sons were living there at the time. She had 4 kids there at the time. And they didn't have any groceries, and she didn't have any money. So I said, sure. So I gave my daughter $100 to take over there so that she could go grocery shopping.
Okay. That's not a loan.
Right.
That's
right.
a gift.
Oh, right, I understand that.
Okay. Did she call you and thank you?
Yes, she did.
Tell me about that conversation.
She just said that she was always out of money, that she was having to go to check cashing places and get payday advances, that no one had ever really sat down and taught her how to pay her bills or how to budget her money. And I told her that I could help her do that because I, too, am a single mom with 3 kids. So we sat down and we wrote down everything she owed, all of her regular monthly bills, a few outstanding debts that she had, how much she made, how much she was capable of making, because if she works more, she can make more. And
what kind of work were you doing, Miss Adamo?
I do medical transcription.
You are an independent contractor?
No. I work at a hospital, but I have incentive. Anything over 1,000 lines a day, we get an additional 7.5 cents per line.
So you sat down with her. Do you remember when that was?
It was in November.
It was in December of 2003.
Okay. Go ahead.
In December of 2003, I asked her if she would help me with my budgeting. So she said, yes, I will help you because she's really good with money. And so I went to her house and we sat down and we put all the bills on the table and we went through the whole thing. And she said to me, tomorrow I'm going to go and get a money order for $1,350 and you're going to take it and pay your rent with it. And I said, wait, Kathy, I don't know when I can pay back $1,350.
Well, your rent was due. How were you going to pay your rent?
I didn't know at that point.
Well, you had to, just Miss Adamo, you had to pay your rent.
Right. So she gave me the money order for $1,350 a day later.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what arrangements did you make to pay her back?
We had no arrangements at that point. She said we'd talk about it after the holidays. That's what she said to me.
Just a second. You mean she said we would talk about how you were going to pay her back after the holidays?
After the holidays.
So it was a loan?
Yes. Oh, it was a loan, yes.
Okay.
Yes,
I wasn't clear on that.
No, it was a loan.
Fine.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Well, you must have a bank statement if you say you withdrew money.
I didn't ever think that I would need them.
Well, you need them when you come to court.
Right.
That's a no-brainer.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Catherine Jaramillo says former friend Barbara Adamo owes for a loan to pay bills.
Now, did the plaintiff's daughter give you $100 for groceries?
Yes, she did.
When?
Probably in November. That was before the $1,350.
Now, when was the second amount of money that you gave her?
The same day as the money order. I had my daughter go down to the bank and get the cash out.
For what?
Because when we sat down and we wrote down all of her bills, everything that she owed, I told her that I could loan her the money to pay all of this off so that she could start fresh. And she said that every year she got a really big tax check and that it would be February, March, and that she would be able to pay me back all of this. I completely wiped out all of her debt. She's never disputed that she's owed me this money until today.
Just a minute. How much did you give her in addition to the $1,350?
I gave her $600.
Is that right, Miss Adamo?
That's not right.
How much did she give you?
The only cash she ever gave me was the $100 in November, and then I received a money order for $1,350. I never, ever received any more cash after that point, ever.
Okay. Let us assume for the moment, just other than the $1,350 and what you claim is a $600 cash loan, is there any other money that you loaned her?
Yes, I gave her $600 right before Christmas because they didn't have a tree. She wasn't going to be able to get the kids anything.
Do you have any proof of that?
No, I do not.
Well, you must have a bank statement if you say you withdrew money.
We no longer have those. I didn't ever think that I would need them.
Well, you need them when you come to court.
Right.
And you knew you were coming. Shh, listen to me. And you knew you were coming to court.
Right.
So it's very easy to call the bank and say, get me a duplicate statement. Right?
Right.
That's a no-brainer. Okay. $1,350. Let's go.
Okay. And then my son graduated from boot camp, and I took Andy and her daughter, which she was supposed to reimburse me for that trip, which I have plane tickets and stuff, and that was supposed to come off the $1,350 that I owed her. And all of this was verbal. We never wrote anything down because we were friends at the time. I was very grateful for what she had done for me.
So you should have paid her back?
Yes.
And you still should pay her back?
Well, I did.
You explained to me how you paid her back, and give me the whole story. You were going to visit your son.
Yes.
And at that time, your son and her daughter were an item.
Correct.
And your son wanted you to bring his girlfriend.
Actually,
your son wanted you to bring his girlfriend.
Yes, he wanted to see her.
Right. And she said, Let me just speculate. She said she's not going. I don't have the money for her to go.
No, that's not what she said. As a matter of fact, I asked the daughter not to go because at that point I thought I was only going to have 5 hours to spend with my son because right after graduation he was being sent to Florida.
According to your answer, madam, you said, I spoke to Kathy and she said she wasn't willing to pay for the expenses for Andy and her friend. That's what you swore to in your answer.
Right, so we were supposed to take it out of the $1,350. She wasn't supposed to give me the money. That's what we did. That's what we agreed upon.
Go ahead.
That is simply not true. My daughter was going to go see her boyfriend graduate. I paid for the trip. That was her birthday present for me. She bought the tickets online. I went over there and took her the cash for the tickets. Well, I paid for her trip, plus I gave her money to spend while she was there.
Let me ask you this question. Why would you give her money if she owed you all this money?
Because she wouldn't have the money to buy the tickets, and I wanted my daughter to go. She wanted to go. She did not want my daughter to go.
I didn't want her to go because of the fact that we only had a couple hours. So I asked her, let me just spend those few hours with my son. I've only got 5 hours with him. She threw such a fit. And Andy did. Her daughter threw such a fit.
Her daughter did. And what about your son?
My son understood that I only had the 5 hours at that point. At first, he did want her to go.
Listen to me. Your son wanted his girlfriend there.
Of course he did.
Your son wanted his girlfriend.
Of course
It's
he
very
did.
nice to see his mother.
Absolutely.
Mother, I want to see my girlfriend.
Right.
If my mother brings my girlfriend, I'd be happy to see my mother.
Right.
But put your hand down. But if I had to choose, you said my girlfriend, and you can write me a long letter. All right, you owe her $1,350. That's what I'm satisfied she gave you as far as a loan is concerned. As far as the rest of the cash that you gave her, I'm not comfortable with awarding her that cash because you had the opportunity to have proof here before me that you did, in fact, at least take the money out of the bank. You chose, that was a conscious choice not to do that. And I don't believe that there was any sort of a set-off for these plane tickets. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,350. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Johnson's case number 470 on the calendar in the matter of Terrietta versus Coleman. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat.
Ms. Terrietta, this is your mom.
Yes.
And you're suing her for a couple of things. First, you were living with her and her boyfriend. I assume this is the boyfriend?
Yes, it is.
For a while. You and your husband?
Yes.
And children?
My baby.
Your
my
baby?
6-month-old
One
son.
child. And there was some sort of a disagreement, a dispute. You left the house and you claim that your mother still has some of your property.
Yes.
That's one. Number two, you claim that your mother falsely reported to the police that you had stolen a credit card from her.
Correct.
And you were arrested.
Yes.
Your mom says that she has none of your property, and I don't understand her defense with regard to the credit card. Is what you're saying, Ms. Coleman, that you didn't call the police, but your boyfriend called the police?
Exactly.
Okay. Now, when did you and your husband and baby move in with your mother?
April 2004.
Why?
My mom didn't raise me. My father raised me from when I was 3 and my brother was 1 in New York. And I talked to my mom maybe 3 or 4 times a year for my whole life. She asked us to come there and come visit her, so I brought my son and we came to visit. I visited for about a month, and she said, why don't you come here with...
Well, what was your husband doing when you were visiting for
He
a
was
month?
still at work in North Carolina, where I'm from.
Okay, go ahead.
And then we were there for about a month, and John had come to visit 2 weekends, and she said, you should come here, save up all of your money, live with us, and you can save up enough money and get a house and come live here. So we did.
Where is here?
To Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay.
And things were pretty normal and good for a little while.
Did your husband find a job?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
And I got a job at the end of August. After that, I think things went downhill from there. She was watching my son while I was going to work, and he had diaper rash almost every week to the point where his butt was bleeding, and I had to fix it every weekend.
Can you tell me on what day you moved out?
October 16th.
Had there been an argument?
Yes.
About what?
They came home, they had been drinking. My brother was back from Iraq with his wife, and they came into the house and they were stomping and slamming doors and screaming. And I asked my brother, I was like, can you be quiet? My son is sleeping. And he stood up and he was like, I don't have to be quiet, I don't have to do anything. And then Ron came up behind him and he was like, this is my house and this is my rules, and if you don't like it, you can get out. And he was screaming and acting like a psycho, so I went and got my husband,
and he got in my husband's face and tried to start a fight with him and said, "Come on, big boy, come on, big boy. You want to do something?"
I got it. So things were, so you left that night?
Yes. And she came into my bedroom and she brought her purse with her. She took out her wallet and she opened it up and she went to looking through her credit cards and she went to give me the black one that I use sometimes, and then she goes, "Oh, you have my GM card, why don't you just use that one? Get a week at the hotel and I'll get you somewhere to live. At the end of the week, I'll get you somewhere to live."
Well, why would she get you somewhere to live if you were working and your husband was working?
Because she felt bad because we had moved there.
You had the credit card?
Correct.
Ms. Coleman, how did she get the credit card?
She had it. She was going to obtain some Barbie dolls for me at her job.
She gave it to me.
Just a second. When did you give her your credit card?
Probably 2 weeks prior to her leaving the house.
Does that sound familiar to you?
She gave me the card almost every day, all the time, for gas, cigarettes, everything.
How many times did she use the credit card? If I were to look at the slips from the credit card company, how many times before October had she used the credit card?
Probably about 6.
And would you give it to her each time, or was it in her possession?
Usually.
Not usually. Was it in her possession?
She kept it. She kept it. She kept it.
She kept it?
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, I'm going to get to the truth.
Yes,
you
ma'am.
understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I would like to see the police report that was filled out with regard to the credit card. Well, first of all, Mrs. Coleman, you filled out this police report. This is in your handwriting.
Yes, they made me.
Nobody makes you do anything, and you say here that she used it without my knowledge or permission.
Right.
Who made you? Your boyfriend?
No, when the sheriff came to the house.
Why did the sheriff come to the house?
Because he had checked our account online, and she had used
Who
it.
had?
My husband.
Yeah.
And she had used it at the motel room, charging $309. She went 3 different times in a matter of hours to the Meijer at the bottom of the hill and went on a shopping spree. Okay.
And so charged what?
Energy drinks, men's boxer shorts, women's bras, conditioner, shampoos, all the stuff that she brought the policeman to the house to get that night.
Miss Coleman, I don't understand something, madam. I mean, I hear you talking about all the things that she charged on this. You're not talking about a lot of money. They all look like emergency things that one would use if they were staying temporarily someplace that they needed interimly, especially when you have a baby.
Right.
And you knew she had the card, and she had had the card before.
Right.
Don't you think the smarter idea, rather than involving the police in this, was after you went online and saw that she had charged the hotel room and charged the other thing, to call the credit card company and say, "Listen, my daughter has the card. She's not authorized to use it anymore. I want to stop the use of the card. Do not let it be used again."
Prior to this, she had went to my salon and was mad at her husband, charged $680 some worth of tanning products. My husband and her had gotten to a confrontation over it, and he told her, "You are not allowed to use this credit card unless your mother gives you permission." He said, "Because if you use this without my knowledge," he said, "I will file a complaint on you."
Don't you think that it would have been smarter, more maternal, if you say to whatever his first name is, Joe, "She's my daughter. She left the house. She's got my grandson with her. We don't want her to use the card anymore. Just call the company and tell them, shut off the card. I don't want to involve the police. I don't want her to be arrested." Did you say that to him?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did he say?
Well, he said that he had already told her that she was not allowed to use it. And before she brought it back, minutes before she came to my house with the policeman standing there, she stopped and got a pack of cigarettes at the corner store.
You think he did the right thing?
No, ma'am.
You think you did the right thing?
Yes.
You did the wrong thing. Understand something? You're not blood. And what you did was irrevocably injure, if it hadn't been before, her relationship with her daughter. If you didn't want her to have the credit card, you should have taken it back.
We attempted to take it back.
No. Your girlfriend says that you told her you can hold on to it, but if you use it again without your mother's permission or my permission, I'm going to call the police. And I'm saying, is she lying to me?
No.
Well, and I'm saying to you, if you didn't want the temptation there, you should have taken the credit card back. But you don't put her in a situation where she's got a baby and the police come to the motel and take her away and arrest her. That can start a process going from which it's very hard to extricate yourself. Very stupid. But they were entitled to do it. And I somehow think that your mother is sorry that it happened. She's sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place.
I know.
You got it?
I know.
Okay. What does your mother have in the house that belongs to you?
I have pictures of some of this stuff, and then I wrote a list of all the things
Let
that
me
she
see it.
has. And I called her and asked for his high chair, and she said, when I was in the hotel, because I said he was eating on the bed, and she said, well, he needs his high chair. And I said, I want my caricature and the calendar of him that I've been making of him since I was born. And she said, you know, I don't think I have those things. All I want is some respect. And she said, Ron's going to take care of it from here, and threw the phone down.
Okay. You have these things?
I see she showed you a little picture of a toy box that Nicholas is in. That's mine. I bought everything that she's talking about, and I have receipts. I have $10,000 worth of receipts. Mr. Turietti was asked if he had got everything out. He said, yes, he did. He looked at me and said, all that's in there is garbage. I can go down to my job, get a truck, come up and throw all that garbage away if you want me to. I said, don't worry about it, John. I'll clean it up.
Did you go to the house?
Yes, Your Honor. I went on...
With or
Monday
without the police?
With the police.
Fine.
And before we walked in, they wouldn't let us in the house until they had the credit card and the key to the tanning salon. She had to come up from the hotel. We gave them back the credit card, but we are not allowed to go anywhere in the house except the bedroom. Our stuff was in the basement, in another closet.
There's a lot of junk here.
Yes, Your Honor.
All of this doesn't add up to the motel room, right?
Right.
So what are you doing here?
I want the calendar that I've been making of my son since he was born. There's no, you cannot put a price on that. I put pictures of
Okay,
him.
do you have the calendar?
No, ma'am. And if it wasn't all that garbage, and what I had done was bought cases
Do you have
of
the
Pampers.
calendar? The
No,
answer is
ma'am.
no. She doesn't have the calendar.
That's just to hurt me. That's just to keep things from me that are
She
of
doesn't
my
have it.
son's.
Listen, you used a credit card, and I think that you probably knew that you weren't supposed to use the credit card at the time when you used it, whether you did or whether you didn't. What he had to pay for as a result of your using the credit card is more than this.
They didn't pay for anything. That's why my case was dismissed on January 21st, because they could not provide the receipts because they didn't pay the bill.
Oh, really?
Really.
Is that right?
You would have to ask Ron about that. We did pay. The reason it was dropped is I'm going through some cancer treatments. I didn't feel like going to, I couldn't. I was throwing
All
up.
I want to know is, did you pay for the motel?
We've reported it to the credit card company
They did not.
as a misuse of the credit card.
So the answer is you didn't.
No.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
She said that there's no need to make the payments now that the car's wrecked. So she told me.
No, you just made that up as you're going.
No, ma'am.
Did you say that to him?
No, I did not.
That's not what you wrote in your complaint, sir.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Beatrice Turrieta says her mother, Beatrice Coleman, had her falsely arrested for credit card theft. Beatrice says her mother gave her that card.
You bought certain things for your grandson. Toy box?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. High chair?
No, ma'am. I don't have the toy, but I didn't. Oh, that's a walker, yes. But I don't have that. They have that.
Yeah.
But this you have?
Yes, ma'am.
You want this?
I don't have that other thing.
Just listen to me. Do you want this?
Yes, I do.
Okay. You have any problem with them having that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. If you want to go over there in the company of a peace officer within 5 days, you can get those things. Understood?
Understood.
Very good. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I was born to that, who I haven't seen since I was 3, and I will never see again.
I would have still give her the $3,000 if that's what she wanted.
She's not a mother. She doesn't know how to be a mother. She never will be a mother.
When she came to my house, she asked my husband where his connection was for cocaine, so I'm sure that's probably what she needed it for. Either that or a gallon of Captain Morgan every week.
I do like Captain Morgan, but I'm a little fat to be on the coke. You think?
She's been in prison before for
Sponsor,
welfare
actually.
fraud.
I was in jail. I wasn't, and I've made mistakes in my life.
My dad told me I was selling my soul to the devil when I came to her house, and he was right.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lester versus Lester.
Step forward, please.
Marilee and Thomas Lester are suing their daughter, 22-year-old food server Natasha Lester, for the unpaid balance on a '97 Saturn. Natasha claims her parents took the car away from her.
Mr. and Mrs. Lester, this is your daughter. How old are you?
22.
According to your complaint, you co-signed for a car for your daughter about 2 years ago. And the agreement was that she was to make the payments on the car.
Yes, ma'am.
And she did make payments on the car for 2 years.
Yes, ma'am.
And then something happened. She was in an accident. And according to you, she just stopped making payments on the car. She said her insurance lapsed and she stopped making payments on the car. You want the car payments because
Yes, ma'am.
you don't want your credit to be ruined. Your daughter says that she made the payments for 2 years, and I assume that she intended to keep on making the payments, but that you had the car towed from her place of employment to your house, and she no longer has the car.
That is true.
So then I guess a lot of this has to do with timeline. Why you're suing your child, I don't even want to get into. But you purchased the car when, Natasha?
In September of 2002.
May I see the paperwork? Do you have the paperwork?
Yes, ma'am.
May I see it, please?
You want just the contract or just all of the paperwork? Here's the contract.
Good luck.
Yes, it's very small. It was faxed over.
I couldn't find the original.
What were your payments, Natasha?
$188.57.
And you made the payments from September 2002 until when?
Until August of 2004.
When was the accident?
It was in September of 2004.
And what did you do with the car?
I left it at my place of employment, trying to get it fixed. I had made arrangements with a friend of mine that worked there, and he was going to help me get it fixed.
What was wrong with the car?
I ran over a tire on the freeway, and the extent of the damage, I'm not quite sure exactly. I know the radiator was busted. It was undrivable. I had to have it towed.
And according to your parents, you let the insurance lapse on the car.
Yes, I had.
Why is that?
Just making payments for other things, and I know that I shouldn't have, but it got lapsed. That was on my own fault. I let that happen.
Now, you did in fact tow the car.
Yes.
Yes, I put it on a trailer and took it to my house.
And then you went over to speak to her.
Yes.
Well, tell me about the conversation.
I just asked her how she was doing and what happened, and she's told me she couldn't. She swerved trying to avoid a tire, and then she just kept driving the car because she didn't want to stop. Then I said, well, are you okay? She says, yes, I'm fine.
Okay.
And then I just went back to my work, and I was talking to my guys at work what to do with the car. And I said, well, I'll have to bring it over to my shop and check it out to see what really needs to be done. I had no knowledge that she was going to have anything to do with getting it fixed with anybody over there.
Well, didn't you ask her?
No, I did not at that time.
Why not?
I figured, well, I'll just take it to my house. That way I can take care of it, get it fixed, and we can get it back on the road.
Mr. Lester, you just precipitously took her car away. You can't do that.
The car's still in my name too, ma'am.
You can't do that, sir.
She said that there's no need to make the payments now that the car's wrecked. So she told me.
No, you just made that up as you're going.
No, ma'am. She,
Did you say that to him?
No, I did not.
That's not what you wrote in your complaint, sir. Do you have the car now?
Yes, it's in the garage.
Very good. So I don't know what you're complaining about. I assume you're fixing it, right?
No, I'm not fixing it.
Well, I suggest you do.
I can't because I didn't have the money.
I suggest, Mr. Lester, that you fix it because you had a contract with your daughter. And you breached that contract when you towed the car without her consent or permission, without having a discussion with her, back to your home. Now, I don't know what else was going on between you and your daughter, but clearly that's not the way family treats family.
Can I go ahead and say something? After we went ahead and had the car towed to our home, she made no contact whatsoever to go ahead and say, you know, what can I do? I know I didn't make the insurance payments. Why, I mean...
I know I didn't make the car payments.
Didn't make the car payments.
Just a second. Don't say she didn't make the car payments. She did make the car payments. She's not obligated to make the car payments now that you have the car in your possession.
The only reason I towed the car is because my boss, he gets upset when crash vehicles are in his parking lot.
We couldn't leave it in that yard, and she wouldn't
Then you have a
moved it.
discussion with your daughter. You just don't
She
take
was not
it.
at work the next day.
Mr. Lester, Mrs. Lester, you got a lot of excuses. I don't know what problem you have with your daughter. It has nothing to do with this car. Your case is dismissed. You have the car, fix it and sell it. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step back. Now, this is case number 474 on the calendar in the matter of Bankston versus Hultgren. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Miss Bankston, who are these people?
This is April Hultgren, Bo's daughter and my fiance, Randy.
And who is this?
It's my fiance, Tara Harris.
Everybody brings a fiance. What do they have to do with this case? Anything?
She's seen some stuff and heard some stuff, and other than that, that's about it.
Okay. According to what I read, Miss Bankston, he used to be a friend of yours or a boyfriend of yours?
He used to live with me.
Live with you as a boyfriend?
Yes, ma'am.
And then he went to jail?
No, ma'am. He lived with me after he came out of jail.
What year did you go to jail, sir?
In January '92.
And how old was April in 1992?
7.
Who did she live with?
When I was in jail, she lived with my mom and my dad.
What happened with that?
They died.
When did they die?
In '96, my dad died, and in '98, my mom died.
What happened in 1998?
She went to live with a friend of mine for a little while, and her mother come got her. After that, Mary went and got her out of a motel room.
How old was she at the time, Miss Bankston?
She was 13 when I took her.
How did you find her in a motel room?
She called me and told me she wanted something she hadn't eaten in a few days, and I took her something to eat. And when I got to the motel, it was a bad place for her to be. And so I took her with me, and I raised her until he got out.
When did you get out?
In 2001, October 2001.
Were you in communication with Miss Bankston while your daughter was living with her?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you tell her in this communication?
Told her I appreciated everything she was doing for her.
Who was supporting her at the time she was living with you?
I was.
When you got out of jail, Mr. Holgren, where did you go?
I moved in with Mary.
Mary and your daughter?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you go to work?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you start supporting the household?
I was pulling my share, ma'am.
What was he paying for?
He was paying like the electric bills, and I paid the house payment because it was my house before he came along, and he paid the electric bill and things like that. He was pulling his weight as long as he lived there. Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever ask Miss Bankstrom how much she spent on your daughter while you were incarcerated?
No.
Why not?
I don't have any idea why I didn't.
Well, this lawsuit's very simple. It said that at some point you used her credit card after you got out of jail while you were living with her. You used her credit card. You told her you would pay for the bills on her credit card, and you didn't. And you owe her some money, $1,100.
Right.
So?
She got me some credit cards off her account, and went and ate on them and done some stuff on them. I took my boy to World Series, Little League World Series up in Oklahoma on a gas card, and other than that, you know, I was paying them until I left.
And so what happened when you left?
I don't know, it wasn't a good scene.
Did you leave with your daughter or without your daughter?
I left without my daughter.
So you left your daughter there?
No, she wasn't living there at the time, I don't think.
Where was she living?
Living in another place.
Where was she living?
She was living with another friend of ours.
Why?
Her and her father did not get along, so she moved out of the house.
Okay. Can I see the charges that he made?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Would you like all the evidence? Or just
Sure. Golden Corral.
That's an eating establishment.
Japanese Palace.
Another eating establishment. I have several eating establishments that we ate at on my credit cards, too.
Well, this is a lot of eating out.
Been 10 years since I ate out anywhere, so we kind of ate out pretty regular.
So why don't you pay for it?
Well, I really don't feel like I owe her anything on that, because I done some other things, you know. I wasn't trying to get anything from her that I done over there. I mean, you know.
Well, give me an example, sir.
I put a storage building in her backyard. It was like $900-something bucks. I helped put a central air and heating unit in her house. That was labor on there. I put some electrical work in the garage and stuff.
Well, how much do you think it takes to support a teenager, sir? A month?
Quite a bit.
Listen, you know, if you have a large golden retriever, you can't take care of a large golden retriever for less than $100 a month. So
Right.
would you say it costs $200 a month to take care of a teenager?
At least.
Let's try 3.
Yeah, probably.
14 months, right? And she was there 14 months, and you didn't pay any support, right? So why would you stick her with $1,100 worth of bills?
The bottom line is that it was kind of crazy over there. Just several things that happened, and you know, she wrecked my motorcycle and all that, you know, right there at the end. She wrecked my motorcycle.
She wrecked your motorcycle. I couldn't understand. She wrecked your motorcycle. How'd she do that?
Well, she took off on it and crashed
That he wouldn't even had if I had not financed it for him.
And I was without the motorcycle for 3 months. I paid $500 a month on that while I was in the shop, $6,500 a month.
Well, did she do that on purpose?
Well, I told her not to get on it because she never rode one before, and she took off on it on her own wheel and crashed it, hurt herself real bad. You know, and then right before I got the motorcycle, I was going to refinance the motorcycle because she kept hounding me about getting it refinanced,
Because
out of her name.
she was on a loan.
Right. And,
Well, she asked you to refinance it because she didn't want to be on the loan.
Right.
Well,
So
that sounds right to me.
Well, I finally did that, and the day I was
No,
going
he
to...
didn't.
The day I was going to refinance it, she called me and told me that she wasn't going to sign off on that loan until I give her $1,000. And I said, well, I ain't give me $1,000. And I went up there and traded it in and got it out of her name anyway.
What a prince. This is your fiancé. Is there anything you want to say to me?
Yeah, do I need to stand up?
You do.
I just have one comment, and that is whenever he went to refinance the motorcycle last year, he got his credit report and got it back, and it was about that thick, where he only had 4 credit cards in his name that he had gotten since they split up. Well, this had 18 open accounts on it.
We're not talking about the charges for those.
I know, but what I'm saying is...
What's your name?
Tara Harris.
Miss Harris, how old are you?
32.
You have children?
1.
How old?
12.
Who supports that child?
Me and him support him, and I get child support.
You get child support from the child's father?
Yes.
Get child support every month?
No, ma'am.
Every week?
No, ma'am.
How often?
Supposed to get it every month.
Yeah, and what happens?
He's been living at my house. He was with his dad. He's been living with us for the last year.
Oh, so before that he was living with his father?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you paying child support
Yes,
to his
ma'am.
father? How often?
Out of every paycheck, weekly.
Now, when you don't get child support from his father, does that annoy you?
Yes, ma'am.
And that child is biologically related to you.
Correct.
And biologically related to his father. How do you feel about somebody who doesn't feel any responsibility to somebody who supports their child for 14 months?
She lived with me for 5 years before he got out.
5 years. And pays for clothes, doctor, shoes, vacation, everything else. And doesn't say, as soon as I get out, I'm going to start paying you back for whatever you laid out, because I know that that's my responsibility. Think that kind of person has good moral fiber?
Actually, I think Bubba does have good moral fiber. He just, you know, he didn't work for 10 years. He didn't have the money.
Well, he does now.
Yes, ma'am, he does, and he
So
greatly
just a second.
appreciates.
Just a second. I don't care if he appreciates. You got to put your money where your mouth is, honey. Appreciating is not good enough. How could you say he's got good moral fiber? He's working now. And if his child was supported by a stranger for 5 years, and not only supported by, but nurtured by, stayed with, you know, took care of when she was sick, whatever else, you start paying that back. You start saying that was my obligation. And because I committed a crime doesn't mean that I don't have that obligation. So instead of not paying her support, now, I'm not talking about a year ago or 2 years ago, I'm talking about now. Instead of supporting your child, to whom he is not obligated in any way legally, you should send that money to her. She's not even suing for that money. I would love for her to do that. All she says was he used the credit card, $1,100, and that he should pay. Don't you think he should pay that too? Minimally.
No, I don't think he should pay that credit card debt.
You think he should pay her supporting his daughter?
He's probably, yeah, I would say that he's probably responsible for that.
Well,
I
she's
know
not
that
suing. She's not suing him for that. She says, I took that responsibility on myself, and I'm not even going to pursue that. I just want what he's supposed to pay me on the credit card when he left. You get my drift.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,100. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I felt he can buy other things. He can buy a new Harley, but he couldn't pay me $1,100 for credit card bills that he charged up.
We're real grateful for her. I mean, I don't know what I've done. If she wouldn't have been here, I don't know where she'd be, you know.
He has somebody else. I have somebody else. We're friends. We have a daughter together.
I'm just glad she's gonna get paid so I don't have to hear them argue anymore.
I will never put nobody on my credit cards ever again.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Fournier versus Cradaville, step forward, please.
22-year-old mechanic Timothy Fournier is suing his former live-in girlfriend, 18-year-old Laura Cradaville, for rent and for damage to his property. Laura claims she paid her rent in cash.
Mr. Fournier, the defendant was your girlfriend. You lived together for a while. It is your claim she owes you some money for rent and property that you claim she destroyed of yours. The defendant says that she gave you money every week and that whatever property she had of yours she returned after she received a telephone call from the police. When did you and the defendant move in together? And what kind of property?
We moved into an apartment on September 1st.
In whose name was the lease?
Both of ours.
You have a copy of the lease?
Yes, I do.
Can I see it, please? Mr. Fournier, does your hand always shake, or do I make you a little nervous?
A little both.
No, I just make you nervous. Don't be nervous. It's a Tuesday. I don't do anything really bizarre to litigants until Friday.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I had a very big loan on a truck. What happened is it was taken and burnt. And
Your Honor, that's not true. He took it.
You pled guilty to burning the truck?
yeah, well, yeah.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Timothy Fournier says his ex-girlfriend Laura Cradaville owes for rent and for breaking his PlayStation 2.
All right, so tell me how much money she owes you and from what?
I have her owing half the security deposit and the first and second month's rent that she had never paid me for. And that came up to...
Well, did you get the security deposit back?
No, because of the damages that she had made to the house.
Did you pay any of the rent?
Your Honor, the agreement was I'd give him $100 a week, and from the date we moved in until the date we left, I'd given him $100 every week except the last week I gave him $60.
Is that right?
No.
Well, how much did she give you?
$15, $20 here for the odds and ends.
Well, did you keep a record of what she gave you?
Of what she gave me, no.
Well, how am I supposed to figure that out, Mr. Fournier?
I have no idea. But I
Me neither.
But I did not...
Me neither. When two children want to play house and then it doesn't work out, you come into court and you say, here, this is my problem, you figure it out. Well, that's not the way responsible people behave. Did you keep a record?
No, Your Honor.
When did you separate?
The day we moved out, on November 15th.
Tell me about it.
We had gotten to an argument that spawned from an online, me talking online about certain people, and then it spawned into like this big giant argument where insults were thrown back and forth to finally we had decided to break up.
Okay.
And I was planning on leaving, so I called my mother so I could pick up my brother's truck. When I went down there to get my brother's truck, and my dad had met me to help me move all my stuff out. When I got there, the house had been ransacked and the door was left wide open.
Can I see it, please?
The door was not open, and the house was not destroyed, except from what he had taken with him.
And that's what the apartment looked like when we had got back.
You made a mess, madam.
Your Honor,
yes, you did.
The house was a mess before
oh,
we even
no, no, no,
broke
no,
up.
no, 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 no. You made a mess. You made a mess. Absolutely. What? It looks like all her clothes.
A lot of things would look like they're ransacked and thrown around the house.
That's
like
the way
just-
the house always looked.
No.
No, it
always
really
looked
did.
like that. No,
We
no,
did-
no,
we
no,
did-
no, no.
That's the bedroom. We didn't have anything in there but clothes. We didn't have a bed. We didn't have nothing.
Nobody
It was-
lives like this.
We did,
except maybe a
unfortunately.
14-year-old.
We really did.
Well, you should have been neater.
Should have been.
Okay. How did you get out of this lease? I'm curious.
She had signed herself off the lease, so what I had done is I was claiming bankruptcy, so I added that to my bankruptcy.
Why were you claiming bankruptcy?
I put myself into a lot of debt.
How old are you?
22.
How did you put yourself in so much debt that at your age you have to declare a bankruptcy?
I was charged with burning my truck and attempting to fraud. So then when I pled out, I couldn't claim it. So
You're going to have to be more specific with me, sir. You're being very circumspect.
I had a very big loan on a truck, and then what happened is it was taken and burnt. And
Your Honor, that's not true. He took it.
You had a truck that was on a lease.
yes,
And you owed a lot of money on it.
yes.
And it broke down.
No, it was crashed and burned.
You were charged with it and you pled guilty to burning the truck?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay. And then you had to make restitution
Yes.
for the truck. And how much did you owe?
I owed 18 on the truck, 18,000.
So you stuck the leasing company with $18,000.
Well, yeah, I mean, I claimed
What do you mean, well,
bankruptcy.
yeah?
I mean, they came after me and I went bankrupt.
What do you think? You think somebody comes down and gives the leasing company $18,000? When you declare bankruptcy, if you own somebody a debt and you declare bankruptcy, what that means is that they're now stuck with a truck that you burned.
Yeah.
Who advised you to do that? Your father? You didn't advise him to do that, did you?
Nope.
I should hope not. So what you're telling me, sir, is what you did was you decided to lump the whole thing together. That when you declared bankruptcy for this truck, you also lumped together the broken lease.
Yeah.
And you expect sympathy from me, is what I'm asking you.
No, I'm not expecting sympathy.
Ah, perfect, good. All right, so what property do you claim she took or destroyed?
She had taken my PlayStation 2 that night.
Good. Now, she says in her answer that she returned it to you.
She did, but it came back broken.
Where did you get the PlayStation 2 from?
Sears.
And you put it on your credit card?
Yes.
You declare bankruptcy on that credit card, too?
Yes.
Get out of here. Is he playing with a full deck?
Yes.
Does he not understand a concept of morality?
Yes, he does.
Well, it's not evident here, sir. He took advantage of Sears by lumping them into his bankruptcy rather than paying off the credit card. And now you're suing her because you want the money. I assume if I give you the money for the PlayStation that you broke, you're going to give it to Sears, right?
No.
Get out of here. Oh, goodbye. Have a happy life. Dad, you got a lot of work to do. He's 22, maybe still salvageable. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out. That's case number 437 on the calendar in the matter of Mohajer versus Ramos. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir.
Mr. Mohajer, according to your complaint, sir, you and the defendant had a relationship and have a child together.
Yes, Your Honor.
And while you were together several years ago, Ms. Ramos didn't have sufficient credit to secure a credit card in her own name. You agreed to get one for her, and the condition was that she would make the payments on the card. You and the defendant were living together at the time, and when you broke up, she stopped making payments on the credit card, leaving you a balance of almost $2,000. You want her to make those payments.
Yes.
Plus, you have a complaint against her for harassment, which I will give you about 30 seconds to talk to me about. Ms. Ramos says that she spent a fortune of money on daycare for your son, that you finally were ordered to pay child support. She hasn't seen any child support from you since the order was made in November. That's her defense. When did you live together? From when to when?
As of December 2002, all the way till July of 2004.
And when was your son born?
December 2002, on the 30th.
And when did you get this credit card?
Back of August 2003.
And from August of 2003 until you separated in July of 2004, who paid for that credit card?
She did.
Solely.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
When did you stop making payments on the card, Ms. Ramos?
I stopped making payments after August 10th was my last payment.
Why?
I don't owe him anything anymore. We are not together anymore, and I've paid over $9,000 in daycare. He has not helped me out in any way with my son, even when we lived together.
Well, Ms. Ramos, you originally had an agreement with him, and your agreement with him provided that if he got you a credit card, you would make the payments. Because you had made the payments, according to you. You'd made the payments until August of 2004. That's what you said.
I never asked him to apply for the credit card.
That's not the issue.
He was never helping out. He said, I got this card for you. Since I can't help you out with groceries or clothes or anything else, we'll use the credit card and we'll pay half and half every month. That was the agreement. I did not ask him to apply for the card.
So is what you're telling me that you were each paying on this credit card?
No, I ended up paying it because he's his car salesman and he never made enough money. He only had enough money to pay for his new boat. He didn't make that much money.
Who did you live with?
We lived with him and his father and his aunt. And
so you lived in his
cousins.
home?
Yes, with his family.
Who paid rent?
Often he would pay $500 a month to his father, but he didn't pay every month.
Your Honor, I have text up
Just
showing
a second. Making excuses, Ms. Ramos. If you made payments on this credit card from the time you got it in 2003 until August of 2004, then that supports the plaintiff's statement that you agreed to make payments on this credit card.
The charges on the credit card were purchases that were made for myself, for him, and my son. All the stuff was stuff for the three of us. That was when we were together, and now that we're not together, I don't see how he can come back and sue me for stuff.
Let me see the bills on the credit card, please. While you were living with the plaintiff, what other household expenses did you pay for?
I got the groceries.
Okay.
And the clothes for my son, and the bottles, and the formula, and all that stuff on the credit card, and I paid it every month.
Okay.
I paid for daycare.
Just a minute. What are these charges for American Furniture Mart in Dallas, 363? What is that?
That was furniture when I needed to move out from his home. I had to buy furniture for my new apartment with me and my son.
So you expect him to pay for that?
I actually made a payment after that on August 10th for $400 to cover that.
Well, that doesn't cover the $306 and $363.
What's the other one?
Supercenter.
Groceries and stuff for our new apartment. I had to get out. It was a very bad situation.
Well, that doesn't mean he pays for it. That's what happens when you're not married. Bad situation, you have to move out.
I would trade in to pay $500 a month any day over paying the daycare, the bills, the grocery, and all that stuff.
Listen, Miss Ramos, you went to family court to get an order of support?
Yes, we did.
And you've gotten an order of support. An order of support was made by the family court in November. Have you paid that award?
Yes, I have indication letter here showing my child support that I paid. Her lawyer failed to get an account number
May I see it, please?
set up, so the checks that I sent were sent back. And I had to beg and plead with my lawyer to get a hold of her lawyer, but her lawyer would refuse to contact us back. So I finally received a letter on January the 8th showing that finally they set up an account number. So and the checks were mailed out actually about a week ago.
Your Honor, I have where they now are going to garnish his wages because he has not made those payments.
And she'll be receiving those, they said, within the end of the week, if not first of the next week.
I believe he sent them. I believe he sent them.
And I also have where he enrolled his son in the daycare where he's currently at and has not helped pay for it at all.
I have check deposits showing that I made a deposit when he was enrolled, Your Honor.
A deposit of $200, but I pay $800 a month, every month. It's coming out of my account.
Just a second.
And I have the Chase account.
Listen to me. Miss Ramos, when you were together, who made more money?
I did.
You are going to pay more money for support for this child than he is if you make more money than he does. That's no question about that. That's just the way things are. But you had an agreement with him. And your agreement with him, based upon the evidence, based upon the course of conduct, was you were going to pay this credit card, and you used it as if it were your own. And I can tell you that because after you left, you continued to use this credit card for things that you needed.
For me and my son. Mm-hmm.
Well, he's not responsible for you. He's not your husband. You chose to have a child with him.
I don't deny that I didn't make the charges. I know that I made the charges.
Well, you made the charges, and you made the charges at a time.
He owes me more than I owe him
Then
as
you
far
have
as
to sue.
daycare.
Then you have to sue it. No. Listen to me.
He enrolled him in the
raised
daycare. Let me show you the enrollment.
No, Miss Ramos, you're not following me. Miss Ramos, the court made an order of support. The order of support was what the court believed was consistent with your individual income and the needs of the child. You have a right to appeal that judgment if you like, but what you cannot do is resort to self-help and say, well, I didn't get what I wanted in the child support hearing, therefore I'm not going to pay this credit card anymore, when you made an agreement with him to pay the credit card and you used the credit card as if it was your own. And you did use the credit card as if it was your own because you used it after you moved out of his home to buy things for your new home.
But it's not $1,700 in charges. The other charges were stuff when we were together and stuff for the three of us.
And what I'm telling...
The agreement was we were both going to pay for that stuff.
No, and I don't believe that. I believe that he paid for certain things. Now, I'm speaking. Hey, I'm speaking. I believe that he paid for certain things in the house, and you paid for certain things in the house. He paid the rent, and I assume he paid other fixed expenses, and you paid for food, and you paid for clothing for the child, and you paid for the daycare.
so he's paid nothing for his son.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,800. That's all. I see I'm not getting to you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think he's very jealous. We just separated, and now that I've moved on, I've gotten married.
She's a teacher. She's teaching fellow kids out there this kind of responsibility. It's kind of sad.
He hasn't helped at all.
The only reason she left because I gave him too much attention. Didn't give her enough attention.
It's like super dad, you know? He gets all the benefits of being a father. He gets to see him half the time, and then doesn't have to pay a dime. Let's be nice.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Johnson versus Simon. Step forward.
Operator Sharon Johnson is suing her daughter, 26-year-old homemaker Celicia Simon, for an unpaid loan when she fell on hard times. Sharon claims Celicia is trying to call it a gift.
Miss Johnson, this is your daughter, and it is your claim that she owes you for some rent when she lived with you for 3 months.
Yes, ma'am.
And also a loan of $2,500. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Quite frankly, Miss Johnson, I'm not so interested in the rent that you claim she owes you for the 3 months that she lived there. You indicate in your complaint that your daughter and her children needed a place to live. They moved in with you. She agreed to give you $300 a month. She didn't have it at the time. She stayed with you for 3 months. That's $900. And subsequently, you all decided that it would be best if she and her children had their own place to live. She needed rent, first lesson security, I don't know what it was. So you gave her $2,500. According to you, it was a loan. I'm going to stick with the $2,500 because when your daughter and her children need a place to live, you don't say, you have no money, but I'm going to charge you $300 for rent. You'll give it to me when you have it. That's not what a mother does. Do we understand each other, Miss Johnson?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. So now let's deal with the $2,500 loan. Tell me when you gave her the loan and what it was for.
I gave her the loan at the end of November of '03, and it was for to help with either down payment or something concerning on a place that her children and her husband were going to move into.
When she was living with you, was her husband living with you also?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have a house?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
How large a house is it?
It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
And it was just you living there?
No, ma'am.
Who else lives there?
Myself, my husband, and my 2 sons.
You work?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Your husband works?
Yes, ma'am, he does.
What about your 2 sons?
One of them is in college, the other one is working.
Okay. How many children do you have?
I have 2.
And why did you have to move in with your mother?
I fell upon hard times. I lost my job.
And what about your husband? Did he lose his job too?
He was in between jobs.
What kind of work do you do?
I do phlebotomy work. I draw blood.
And he?
He's a crew member at a fast food restaurant.
How old are your children?
I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old.
How long have you been married?
I've been married 3.5 years.
Okay, your mother gave you $2,500, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you discuss with her paying her back?
No, ma'am.
That's not true.
Go ahead.
Before I loaned her the money, things were getting tight at the house, and she said she had found a place. Could she borrow some money? I asked her how much. She said $2,500. I said, okay, well, how are you going to pay me? She said, well, Mom, you know, I'll get my income tax check in February, and I'll pay you then. I said, okay. And then a few days later, I went to the bank, got a cashier's check, and loaned her the money.
Did she get her income tax check?
She said she did.
When was the first time you asked her for this money back?
It was in March, because February, she wasn't returning any calls to me.
Tell me about the conversation.
Well, when I caught up with her, I said, CC, where's my money? Mom, I'm going to go in and give you the $900 back. No, 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 no. Where's all of my money? I want my $900 and I also want my $2,500. $2,500? I thought that was a Christmas gift. I don't think so. I can't just give away $2,500. And so it was like, but Mommy, no, I don't remember. I remember us making an agreement. You and I, your husband stay in the background like you always do, since he's always on a vacation. So when are you going to give my money? I'll talk to you later on. And when she hung up, that teed me off. So then I tried to take it to court.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Over the course of time, I have given loans, spent loads and loads of money on my children. I would never, ever sue them. Never.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sharon Johnson says her daughter, Celicia Simon, owes for a loan to pay her bills. Celicia insists the money was a gift.
You have 2 brothers.
Yes, ma'am.
You know that your mother gave them Christmas presents?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you discuss that with your brothers?
Yeah, like, you know, just when brothers and sisters get together and they discuss
Well, what did
it.
you talk to them about?
Well, my brothers, one of them was getting a car, and then one of them was getting, like, screens in his car and the big rims on his car or whatever. So it was just like, you know, I'm going to get back on my feet by getting into my own place, and my one brother would have transportation so he could get a better job, and the other brother, he's the youngest and the most spoiled.
Well, Miss Simon, what I believe is that you acknowledge that you owed your mother $900 for rent, right?
I think that I was thankful for my mother giving me and my family a place to stay. I wasn't able to compensate her.
What your mother said was, when she spoke to you, you said to her, well, I know, Mom, I know I owe you the $900.
I mean, she was calling every... Your Honor, you don't understand.
No, I understand. I don't think that that's something that you have to call for, but if you acknowledge that you owed her the $900 and you did get your income tax refund, which is what she was waiting for, why didn't you give her back the $900?
It was a tight situation, which is why I, needed help in the first place. My family was just in a very bad spot.
Well, then why didn't you call her and say to her, Mom, I know I promised to give you the money back when I got my tax refund, but things are pretty tight. Why did you wait for her to call you?
She knew I was in a bad situation. I didn't feel like I should have to go to her and explain to her, hey, a couple months later, I'm still in a tight situation. I still can't give you any money.
Why, is your mother rich?
No, she's not rich.
She's not rich. How old are you?
I'm 26.
You have 2 children, you have a husband, you have a home, you're an independent person. That means you have to act like a grown-up.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you borrow money from somebody and you acknowledge at least the $900, then if you can't pay them back, the time when you say you're going to pay them back, you pick up the phone and say, I know I said I could pay you back. Can I get a little bit of an extension? Can I give you back something? Can I give you $100?
It became such a big thing that, like, at family gatherings or whatever, it just always wound up being a big argument. She continued to make a huge scene about it every time we got together at family.
Miss Simon.
Yes, ma'am.
Has your mother always been like that? Oh, yes. Big questions, yes or no?
Yes,
Has she always been like that?
Yes, ma'am.
Then you shouldn't have borrowed money from her.
I didn't borrow money from her. I told her I needed help.
No. You acknowledge that you owed her at least $900. And if you know that that's the way she is about money, you shouldn't have taken other money from her.
That's how bad I needed it. I mean, it was the last option. I couldn't continue to be there in her house. I didn't want to take my family, to a shelter.
Well, what was your husband doing?
He was working.
Was he working 5 days a week?
Not always.
Is he working now?
Yes, ma'am.
5 days a week?
Yes, ma'am.
And what about you?
I'm a homemaker. I take care of my 2 children.
I just asked you what kind of work you did, and you told me that you drew blood.
Yes, ma'am. I just recently lost a child, so I haven't been working. When I found out I was pregnant at the beginning of the school year, I decided to take the school year off just to be at home a little more with the kids and everything, and also because I was pregnant, and I just recently lost my child.
You're not supposed to have more children until you can support the ones you have. Does that sound harsh to you?
No, ma'am.
I hope not. I mean, I'm telling you this because I think that sometimes people lose sight of that. That if you have 2 children and you have to go back to your mother for money, then you don't make more babies. Having children is very nice as long as you can take care of them. Your mother's not a rich lady, but you can't look at your siblings and say, because they got Christmas presents, I should have gotten one too.
But she's not taking any of them to court. She's taking me to court. I'm the only girl. Those are her precious boys, They got money to go and get a car, to go and get screens in his car. I mean, when I was that age, she wasn't giving me money to go put screens in my car.
I don't think that your mother...
I know she can do what she wants with her money.
Yes, I don't think that your mother would say that this was a loan unless she honestly believed that this $2,500 that she gave you was money that you were supposed to return. I think that you've been, for want of a better term, and I don't necessarily like this term, I don't think that you can allow your jealousy of your younger brothers to interfere with the rest of your life. If you feel as if your mother favors the 2 boys...
She does.
Well, I don't know whether you were a more difficult child, a less difficult child, who knows? But you will find that during the course of your life there will ebb and flow with regard to which of your children you like better than others. You may love them all, but at various times in their lives you will like some better than others. Fair?
Fair.
Love all. Love them all. Yeah. But at various times, depending upon what they do, to drive you crazy, and to make you gray, you will like one more than another. You can't let that interfere with your whole life. Miss Johnson, I'm going to award you your $2,500 for this loan that you gave your daughter, but I'm going to give you a little lecture at the same time.
Yes, ma'am.
Over the course of time, I suppose I have given, loaned, spent, whatever, loads and loads of money on my children. I would never, ever sue them in a court. Never. That's not what parents do to their children, unless the children are really, really bad people. And your daughter may have made some mistakes in her life, but she doesn't seem like a bad person. She's reasonably articulate. She's been in a relationship with her husband for a long time. She has 2 children. This is the husband, right?
Yes.
Well, you may not like him. You may not like him, but I want to tell you something. You didn't like your first husband either. Right?
No, I didn't.
Right?
Yes,
so you
ma'am.
made a mistake.
Yes, ma'am.
So she doesn't seem like a bad girl. And I'm telling you that while I'm giving you a judgment for $2,500, I think you made a big mistake by suing her. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Now, this is case number 475 on the calendar in the matter of Martin versus Hall. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mr. Martin, it is your claim that the defendants, this gentleman in particular, caused damage to your car in an accident, and the accident was his fault. Mr. Hall says that it was your fault, and you don't know why, anyway, that you're suing him because he wasn't driving. It was Miss
Hall
who was driving the car. So you must have not been watching carefully.
Apparently.
When did this incident happen?
September 17th.
Where were you?
I was in Maitland, Florida, turning into a gas station.
What happened, Mr. Martin?
I was turning into the gas station to buy gas, and I seen the Halls coming at a very high rate of speed through the parking lot, so I stopped.
Through the parking lot or through the gas station?
Into the parking lot of the gas station.
There's a chart over there that the Halls brought. Is the red car yours?
That's similar to what happened.
Where were you coming from?
I was coming from the north, turning in just like that shows, and I stopped, and he come crashing into me. He was driving probably about 45 miles an hour through that parking lot.
Okay. What kind of a car were you driving, sir?
Mazda 626.
And where was the car hit?
Right in the passenger side in the front. Knocked the bumper
Do you have a
completely off.
photograph?
Yes, ma'am.
May I see it, please?
Sure.
Is there damage to the hood?
The bumper was knocked completely off, and the hood and all the lights were knocked out in the grill.
All right, now what happened after the collision, sir?
After the collision, I started to call the police, and Mr. Hall came over and said, "I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Please don't call the police. I'll have someone take care of your car for you." But my car was not drivable. So I proceeded with calling the police, and then I observed Mr. Hall removing the license plate from the car.
From whose car?
From his car. So when
Yes.
the police got there, I told him that he had taken the license plate off of the car and put it in the trunk. He went and found it, and then they claimed that Mrs. Hall was driving, but that is definitely not the case. So the police officer ticketed him for removing the tag from the car because that tag did not belong to their car, and then ticketed her for driving with no insurance and for careless and reckless driving.
On their statement that it was Mrs. Hall who was driving.
That's what they're claiming, yes.
But it wasn't Mrs. Hall who was driving.
No, ma'am.
It was Mr. Hall.
Mr. Hall was driving. And on page 2 is the correct diagram. It's very similar to that, but it shows my car in a straight line, not in an angle like that.
Why did you take the plate off the car, Mr. Hall?
Because the plate did not belong to that car, Your Honor.
Why not?
Because we put it on the car to transport the car to a sale lot to put the car up for sale.
Well, where were you coming from, Mr. Hall?
We were going from our residence to the gas station. We were putting gas into the vehicle and then taking the vehicle up to put it up for sale.
Where were you taking it to put it up for sale?
Literally 2 blocks away from there, which is also just a couple blocks away from our residence, Your Honor.
Well, Mr. Hall, that doesn't make sense, sir. It doesn't make sense that why you would be putting gas in a car to take it to a place for 2 blocks.
Because it was on dead E, and we're afraid the vehicle would run out if someone was to test drive it, Your Honor.
Huh. When did you buy this car, sir?
A few weeks before that, Your Honor.
From whom?
I
You're
don't
looking
remember.
down at your feet, sir.
I don't remember the name, the gentleman's name, Your Honor.
Did you have a bill of sale for it?
No, ma'am, not on me.
Did you have it then?
No, ma'am, I did not.
You're pretty slippery, sir. Show me where your car was hit, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Which is your car?
The blue car, Your Honor, is our car.
Right. I got it.
And our car was hit
Now.
right where the highlight spot is.
I see it. But you passed the gas tank, sir. Did you put gas in the car already?
Yes, ma'am.
Who put the gas in the car?
I believe I did. And I ran
I want
inside.
you to think. I want you to think. Who put the gas in the car?
I put in the gas, Your Honor.
Do you have a license to drive a car?
I do, yes, ma'am.
Did you then?
It was suspended, Your Honor.
So the answer is you did not have a license to drive then?
No, ma'am.
So you had no license, no registration, no insurance?
Yes, ma'am.
So there would have been a good reason for you to lie to the police and tell them that your wife was driving when you were driving. There would have been a reason and a motive, because you would have been taken in if you were driving on a suspended license. Isn't that correct, sir?
Yes, there's also a reason why I let her drive, because she is legal and not suspended.
Listen to me very carefully, sir. On your best day, you're not as smart as I am on my dumbest day.
I understand, Your Honor.
Good. My question to you was, there was a reason for you to lie to the police, to tell them that your wife was driving the car. There would have been a reason, because you had already had your license suspended, right?
Yes, ma'am.
For what?
For not paying a seatbelt ticket, Your Honor.
Baloney. Now, where did you get the license plate from, sir, that you put on this car?
From one of our other vehicles.
How many other vehicles do you have?
2, Your Honor.
Who insures them?
My wife and I do.
With what company?
Progressive, I'm sorry.
And were the other 2 vehicles insured at the time of this accident with Progressive?
Yes, ma'am. May not have been. Excuse me, Your Honor. May not have been with Progressive. Progressive is our current one, I believe.
Well, why don't you tell me, sir, because it's very easy to check. Why don't you tell me, what was the other company that you were with back in September that insured your other 2 cars?
I don't recall the insurance company off the top of my name, Your Honor.
Off the top of your name, you don't?
Off the top of my head, I'm sorry.
You don't.
I'm nervous.
You're nervous because you're lying, sir. And you know that I'm going to be able to prove that. Before the police arrived, when you took the plate off the car and put it in the trunk, what did you hope to accomplish by that, sir?
Avoiding the ticket for attaching tag not assigned, Your Honor.
Now, don't you get a ticket for driving without tags, period?
Yes, Your Honor.
So what would be the difference in putting the tags in the trunk? You were going to get a ticket either way, either for driving with no tags or for driving with somebody else's tags on your car. So what difference did it make?
None. Except to try keep him from getting a ticket.
Well, don't you think people get tickets, sir, when they drive without license plates?
Yes, Your Honor.
Because that's why you supposedly took the license plate off one car and put it on another, so you wouldn't get a ticket,
Yes,
right?
Your Honor.
So that doesn't make sense to me. What did the police do with that license plate, sir?
They confiscated it, Your Honor.
And what did you do with the car from where the license plate had been removed?
The vehicle stayed right where it was, Your Honor.
And where is it to this day, sir?
In our driveway, Your Honor.
Without license plates?
It has been licensed and insured.
How did you get new license plates for it?
I just applied for a new plate, Your Honor.
You have to say what happened to the old plate, sir, if the car had been registered.
The vehicle hadn't been registered in our name prior to that, Your Honor.
Oh, so you had yet another car in your arsenal of cars that hadn't been registered in your name at the same date that you had this accident.
It's a vehicle that my sister allowed for us to drive because we didn't have a dependable vehicle at the time to drive, Your
Well,
Honor.
what about the third car that you had home, sir?
It wasn't.
Vehicle.
What?
It's a work vehicle.
What is a work vehicle? What does that mean?
It's a truck that we use to do landscaping and lawn maintenance that
So?
pulls a trailer. And it's decaled up, and insurance will not cover that if we are in an accident when we are not working.
Okay, so we're going to do this. We're going to play. At the time of this accident on the 17th of September, 2004, who had a driver's license? Raise your hand. The time of this accident on September 17th, 2004, who had a registered vehicle? On September 17th, 2004, who had a vehicle with appropriate tags on it? On September 17th, 2004, who was driving a car illegally? Good! Perfect. Okay. Shooting fish in a barrel. Can I see the estimate for your car, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
What a bunch of hustlers. Not you, Mr. Martin.
I also have, Your Honor, a letter from the Halls stating that Mrs. Hall is guilty of this charge because we originally had an agreement for the Halls to pay me $400 a month beginning on November the 10th. And I know you're not going to believe this, but that didn't happen.
The only thing that I don't believe, sir, is that you believed them, that it was going to happen.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
when we separated, we were not on talking terms. I needed money.
So you claimed the children as your deduction, even though he supported them?
Yes, ma'am.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rick Martin says fellow motorists Jennifer and Dennis Hall ran into him in a gas station parking lot. Rick claims Dennis was the driver, but after the accident, he switched places with his wife.
I have a net total of $2,966.35. Is that your estimate?
That's the estimate to fix the rest of the damage. I've already spent over $2,000.
You have those bills?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see them, please.
In those estimates, Your Honor, he's also trying to recoup, he's trying to double charge for repairs that he made once originally on his first repair bill.
And I have a listing of those if you'd like to see it.
And then he's trying to get the same repairs covered again on his estimate he previously handed you.
Are you trying to do that, sir?
No, ma'am.
Did you have a deductible on the car?
I had only liability. I did not have full coverage on the car because it's paid for.
Okay, what did Allstate pay you?
Allstate only paid the tow bills. And I tried to relay that message to the Halls, but they would not return any of my calls to find that out. So.
They wanted you to go away, like their license plates.
Yes.
Your Honor, when he originally showed up at our doorstep, he was demanding the $14.95 and repayment as well as new headlights.
So how much, just a second, so how much did you give him, Mr. Hall?
I gave him $0.
Well, now you're going to give him $4,834. Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The first thing I thought was they were going to drive away.
We like to buy and sell vehicles, and my husband was in the back seat.
I didn't ask him what he was doing. I took a photograph of the license plate. I could still tell you the number of that license plate right now.
When the gentleman hit us, my husband bounded out of the back seat, driver's side, and of course everybody thought he was getting out of the driver's seat.
I think that they're professional con men or deadbeats. I don't know.
When Jennifer asked to see some type of receipts or anything, he didn't provide any. Instead, he just went and got additional estimates and came up with this claim with that.
When I went to his house, he told me that I was not the first person that he ran into. That would be why he doesn't have a driver's license.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Conger versus Tates, step forward, please.
Plaintiffs Chuck and Karen Conger are suing the father of their grandchild, roofer Jeremiah Tates, for the cost to fix a '97 Ford Escort. The Congers claim Jeremiah's driving caused the transmission to blow.
Mrs. Conger, you have a daughter whose name is Brenda.
Correct.
Let me guess, Brenda.
Yes.
Your stepdaughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is a convoluted story of a car, a 1997 car, that was purchased for your daughter and the defendant, her then boyfriend and father of the two children. And the arrangement was that the two of them would pay you back for the car.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then they had an off-again, on-again kind of arrangement. And at some point, Mr. Tates took the car with your daughter's permission because she got a new car.
Mm-hmm.
And he was driving the car and making the payments.
Yep.
And then the engine blew on the car, and he had the car towed to your house, and he said, I'm not making payments on it anymore. So you want him to pay for the repairs that you did to the car in order to get it up and running because you still have the car.
Correct.
That's really what the lawsuit is about. You want him to pay for the repairs.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Tate says, I only drove the car for a couple of months. Brenda has always driven that car, right?
Correct.
So why are you looking to me to pay for the repairs? So, the car was purchased when?
Go ahead.
I'm not
All
sure
right.
when Brenda purchased the car.
Brenda, step up. When did you buy the car, Brenda?
The car was purchased, I want to say, in 2001.
Okay. And it was purchased in your name?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it still in your name?
No, ma'am.
Whose name is it in?
It is now in my mother and stepfather's name.
And who drove the car in 2001?
I did all the driving. Jeremiah did not have his license.
Okay. You did the driving in 2001. Who did the driving of this particular car in 2002?
I did.
Who did the driving of this car in 2003?
I did half of it, and then Jeremiah took over.
Okay. Now, when did Jeremiah take over the car?
October to May.
To May of 04.
May of 2004. How did he come to have possession of the car?
We were trying to work on things, and we just couldn't do it. So when I left, I also had another automobile. Jeremiah had a...
Just a second. When you left, what do you mean you had another automobile?
Oh, I'm sorry. When Jeremiah and I separated, I took my income taxes and I purchased a SUV. So for him to have transportation for his work, he also goes to a school and he has children. We just talked about it, and he was going to take that so he would have transportation for those needs.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. But the Explorer she had was paid off with the taxes she got back from our 2 kids, claiming our 2 kids. So, I mean...
Did you support them?
Yes, I did.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you claim them both that year?
He was the sole supporter of the family. I did not work. I went to school and I took care of the children. And when we separated, we were not on talking terms. I needed money. I needed to take care of my children and get a roof over our head.
So you claimed the children as your deduction?
Yes, ma'am.
Even though he supported them?
Yes, because when he claims taxes, he is paying the IRS right now, so he would not have received anything. I tried talking to him about it, but at that time we were not.
What do you mean he's paying the IRS?
He has back taxes. He used to own his own business, so he's doing stuff
Okay, so
like
you
that.
wouldn't have gotten the money anyway, but
No.
at least she got the advantage of it. Is that what you're telling me?
Yep, basically, Your Honor.
Okay, and how much of an advantage did you get?
Not much. I think my return was only $3,100.
$3,100.
Yes,
And you
ma'am.
got $3,100, and you actually did not support the children. He did that year.
Yes.
Fine. Who's driving the car now?
My daughter is.
Which daughter?
I have a daughter. She's 16 years old. Her name is Brianna, and she's making payments on the car because we still owe money on the car.
Great. How much do you still owe?
A couple $1,000.
I don't think he's responsible to fix the car.
We have 6 months of where he's made payments on this car faithfully.
That's absolutely right. He made payments 6 months faithfully. The car was not in his name. It's in your name. You chose to take the car, and instead of fixing it and selling it, you chose to give it to your daughter. That's what you chose to do.
We just thought that he's the one that was driving it at the time, so we thought that he should be held responsible for...
No, not necessarily.
debt.
The engine could have blown when your daughter was driving the car. She drove the car for 3 years. Cut your losses.
Well, he made payments on this car with faith, and if he would have taken out a loan, he would have had this car then.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
May I?
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. You also could have fixed the car and sold it.
I understand your view on I was the one driving, but I was the only one with the legal license.
What?
Well, if he would have had a license, his driving would have been just as much. So the problem, okay.
Madam, you want to also explain the $3,100 that should have actually gone to the federal government and went to your pocket instead?
I also worked.
Oh, that's a lot of baloney.
No,
you said to me a moment ago that he was the sole support of the children the year that you claimed the children on your tax returns, and you did it because you knew that if he claimed the children, he would not be getting a refund because he owed for back taxes. So you claimed the refund. You needed money to buy a new car, which you took $3,100. You bought a new car. You gave him that one. Good.
20-year-old Michael Schaefer is suing ex-roommate, 22-year-old Jacob Tyler, for damage to his property. Michael claims Jacob removed items from the apartment and left them outside.
All right, so I have some preliminary questions. Let's listen up very carefully, and let's start with the ground rules, which are everybody tells me the truth, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. You two were roommates for
Yes.
a period of time. Which one was the neat one?
I was.
And who was the slob?
He was.
I wouldn't say I was a slob. I wasn't as anal retentive as Jacob.
He had roommates that were.
This is your complaint. Mr. Tyler moved out for the end of the lease.
Yes.
Mutual?
Yes.
Yes.
The lease was to expire on May 31st of this year.
Yes, ma'am.
On May 31st, you came back.
To verify.
I like to tell the story
Okay,
myself.
I'm
I like to
sorry.
do this as a one-man show, except that I need sometimes some input from you.
Okay.
You came back to ensure that he moved out on time because you were still responsible on the lease, and they had your security deposit.
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
And when you came back, you found Mr. Schaefer not being a slob, a little disorganized. All of his stuff is still there. The place is a pigsty, and you start to clean it up.
Yes.
He leaves. Where did you go on May 31st, by the way, when you left?
It was about 10 o'clock at night. I went home to go to sleep.
You went home where?
To my parents' house. I moved back in with my parents.
When did you move back in with your parents, Mr. Schaefer?
I had been moving things into their house over the course of
When was the last time you slept in this apartment?
the morning of May the 31st.
Now, you have to be very careful because I'm going to put you in between a rock and a hard place, sir. When you went back to your parents' house to sleep at 10 p.m. on May 31st, you were aware of the fact that the next day you were supposed to be totally out of the apartment, or midnight that night, correct?
Yes, correct.
But you went home at 10 o'clock.
Yes.
And you still had a lot of stuff there.
Yes.
Well, that's why you're here, Mr. Schaefer, because it is your claim that you had a lot of stuff there that he took out and set outside, and it was either ruined by the rain or stolen. So it's a lot of stuff. Let's see how much stuff you say was there. $713 worth of stuff.
About 400 of which was the TV.
Why didn't you take that stuff and have it out when you were supposed to?
I hadn't realized how much stuff I had accumulated. I didn't realize how long
You
it would
mean
take.
it just came up and bit you on the behind? And if you did, why didn't you, instead of going home at 10 o'clock at night, Mr. Schaefer, stay up until midnight and get all the stuff out of there?
I was very tired.
That's too bad.
I figured we could settle up with the apartment. We could pay for an extra day just to get the rest of my stuff
You
out.
weren't going to pay for anything because the security deposit was his.
We would have settled afterward.
I don't believe you. And after you got your stuff out, stop playing with your papers, Mr. Anal Retentive.
Sorry.
You were supposed to clean it after you got your junk out.
I had been cleaning that day, and Jacob actually came by the apartment to clean and to patch holes that he had punched in the walls because he had quite an anger problem.
Just a second. So you had been cleaning that day?
Cleaning.
Is that what you're telling me? You had been cleaning that day?
Yes, I vacuumed the carpets. I was moving my stuff out, just going through the whole process.
Mr. Schaefer, you're full of baloney. Your stuff wasn't out of there. As far as I'm concerned, the landlord could have taken your stuff and thrown it in a dumpster at midnight. He's not responsible for your stuff after midnight.
I cleared it with the apartment manager the following morning.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Where is the manager? I want to interview the manager.
We don't have that manager
Well,
here.
that's too bad because that's hearsay. When a lease is up, it's up.
Before I left the apartment, Jacob was patching the holes up, and I had said, you know, I'm going home. I'll be back in the morning for the rest of my things. Don't touch anything. He said, okay, fine, and we left it at that.
Is that what happened, Mr. Tyler?
Yeah.
What happened?
I told him that it was unacceptable because when I got there, the fridge still had food in it. There was no cleaning done in the kitchen. The vacuum that was there wasn't even being used on the carpet. I cleaned a bathroom that they never cleaned since we moved in there. It was beyond filthy. I came back to actually patch up the holes in the wall.
What were the holes in the wall from, sir?
From me and parties that they had been at, and I got upset because there was all these kids that were underage drinking, and I have pictures to prove that they were.
Do you have any proof of what this place looked like when you got there?
I have a witness, but she's in the Air Force boot camp right now, and I can't
help you there with that.
I know.
have no
I'm sorry.
control over the Air Force.
Yes, ma'am, I know.
I like to think I would like to, but I don't. Mr. Tyler,
Yes, ma'am.
you had $440 in security deposit.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you get any back?
I had 140, and I have a copy showing the amount which was taken out.
Can I see that, please?
And also at the top, ma'am, this is the part where I had the power turned off, and Mr. Schaefer was supposed to get it turned on in his name. He didn't.
We
So
never
the
talked
apartment
about that at
took
all.
care of it. The apartment charged me for the water, the trash, the electric that he accumulated.
So you lost your security deposit?
Yes, ma'am. And
Okay.
the added rent was for...
Now, did you patch up the walls?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Because there's nothing here about patched walls.
I have this also that says that there's new contact, lots of resident damage into...
Well, it doesn't say here anything about charging you for holes in the wall.
No, that wasn't.
Which means that
But they
you
were
patched
charging-
them. I'm speaking. Listen to what I'm saying to you. It's not here to hurt you. I said there is nothing that indicates from the apartment complex that they are charging you for holes in the wall. That would be a good thing. Then you say, you are right. You are correct, Judge.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Where did you put whatever stuff of his was left outside?
I moved it underneath the stairwell of the upstairs. I covered it with blankets. I wrapped his VCR in bubble wrap. Unfortunately, he said that it rained the next morning in the area.
What happened when you came back the next day? So first of all, what time did you come back to the apartment the next day?
About 9 in the morning.
And what did you find when you got there?
I came there with my girlfriend. This is Nicole. We came there with her truck to get the rest of my stuff, and we came up to the apartment.
Just a second. Step up. Your last name is?
Sierra.
Miss Sierra, when did Mr. Schaefer pick you up?
I came to pick him up with my truck at a little bit before 9 a.m. on June the 1st to go retrieve the rest of our stuff.
Had you been there? What do you mean the rest of your stuff? Had you been living there too?
No, I just...
Some of her stuff was in there. I'm sorry.
Don't speak.
My couch cushions and my vacuum was there.
So my question is, had you been living there?
No, ma'am.
Had you been staying there?
Yeah.
Don't play with me. Had they used your truck to move the other items? Don't look, listen to me. Don't look at him. Don't you have an independent recollection of this? I asked you, had they used your truck to move out the other items?
Yes, some of the other stuff.
How many days had they used your truck?
Probably about 4 days.
Good. And where were you the night of May 31st?
I was at home.
Doing what?
Resting. I work 30 hours a week, and so I was just...
Oy! My God, 30 hours a week! Oh, you must be exhausted. How old are you?
I'm 23.
23, and you work 30 hours
and I
a
go
week?
to school full-time.
Good. What school do you go to?
I just graduated from the North Lake Community College in Dallas, Texas.
Good. So you graduated from college, and I know from college. I mean, I know how many hours a day one goes to college, so 30 hours a week working you can manage. So you were exhausted.
I wasn't exhausted.
What about you? How exhausted were you? Where do you work?
I worked at Metro Volkswagen.
And you also go to school full-time?
No, I'm not in school currently.
You work 40 hours a week?
Yes, ma'am.
So you work 40 hours a week and don't do anything else. You've got a girlfriend who works 30 hours a week and goes to school full-time, so you should have been pretty wide awake on the 31st. I don't see what you needed to go to sleep for at 10 o'clock at night. You have no case, sir. He is not obligated to risk his security deposit because you decided you needed an early nap. He secured your stuff as best as he possibly could. If it was ruined by the rain, that's your problem. You should have had it out by May 31st. You owe him $440 for security deposit because you lived like pigs, then you have to pay for that. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Allison Abushan claims her ex-boyfriend, Christopher Wilson, owes for the down payment on a truck. Allison also claims Christopher overdrew their shared bank account.
Thank you, Bert. Ms. Abushan, how long were you and the defendant together as a couple?
About 5.5 months.
Did he move in with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Where did you meet him?
I met him when I was finishing college in Kentucky. He then moved back with me to Minnesota.
Mr. Wilson, when you moved back with Miss Abushan to Minnesota, what were you doing for a living, sir?
I got down there and I started work for DirecTV.
In what month did you move to Minnesota?
It was 2 days before Christmas.
So let's say January. And when did you get the job with DirecTV?
It was about a month after Christmas.
February?
Yes.
How long did you have the job?
Until I come back to Kentucky.
And when was that?
In the middle of March.
Well, then you weren't working very long, sir.
Right.
Who was supporting you?
My parents would send me money, help me out.
I'm talking about her. Was she supporting you?
It'd go either way. I had money too.
Where did you have money from?
My parents, like I say, they would send me money.
How old are you, Mr. Wilson?
I'm 23. I'll be 24.
If I let you.
I hope you'll let me.
All of these things, my questions have a reason, Mr. Wilson.
Okay.
This is your complaint. You foolishly, very foolishly, put a down payment on a truck or
Yes, Your
something
Honor.
for him. And there was an agreement that he was going to pay you back for it because he didn't have any what?
Transportation or money.
Because he didn't have any money.
Right.
Otherwise, he would have put the down payment on his own truck. So evidently his parents, because he acknowledges that you put the down payment on the truck for him, right? I read your papers.
Correct.
And if you had money of your own, then you wouldn't have needed money from? You're smarter than you look, sir. Now, 2 weeks after you bought him this truck, he goes back to Kentucky to deal with
ma'am.
some legal issues, according to him, having to do with his child.
That ended up being
I'm
false.
speaking.
Excuse me.
And his child said, "Oh, Daddy, don't leave." So he decided to leave and dump you and go back to the mother of his child and his child because he couldn't say no to his baby. And he kept your truck. That's after 2 weeks.
Yes,
and how
ma'am.
much did you lay out?
$3,500.
You know, You looks are deceiving, sir. What?
$3,500, Your Honor.
No. There were also payments due on this truck.
Yes, Your Honor.
He moved back in the middle of March to Kentucky. Did he make the March payment on the truck?
No, ma'am, he did not.
I see, shh, just a second. I see a whole lot of blank space on your table, Mr. Wilson. You say in your answer that you made the truck payments. You left, according to you, the second week in March. Show me the March payment that you made.
I ain't got no evidence of nothing. She come and got the truck without my knowledge, right in the middle of the day.
Listen to me. Listen to me. You have evidence, sir, because you would have proof that you made the truck payment in March.
Nothing was due. There was no payments due on that truck.
I have a check, Your Honor.
We just had purchased that truck. Like I say, we just had purchased
that truck.
You mean
you purchased it, they made you a gift?
No, it's not a gift. It wasn't. There was no payments due on it.
When was the first payment due?
Whenever we bought the truck, like 3 weeks before. And I hadn't had a chance to pay the payment on it because she come and got it.
You didn't have a chance.
Exactly.
Your Honor, I have a check for March. Can I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am. My mother wrote it out of account that we had shared together, my mother and I, to make the payment. After he was delinquent on that payment, that's when we chose to go down there for the sake of my credit.
Just a second.
Yes, Your Honor.
We do this according to the way I run this playpen, okay? Check is dated the 21st of March, so I assume for $271.75. You don't have another check that you made, do you, sir?
No.
In March? No. No. Then you went down because you didn't make the payment. And very wisely, I might add, decided not to be involved with this man anymore because now your credit is on the line because there are payments due on this car.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you and your mom, according to your papers, went down and repossessed the car.
Yes.
And sold it.
Yes.
Sold it at a loss.
Yes.
And what you want is the money that you spent on him for this truck. How much did you sell the truck for?
Sold the truck for $10,500. Had $11.86 left on the truck to be paid.
All right, so what's the deficit?
About $1,300.
Okay. That's a cheap lesson. Now, when, Miss Aubuchon, when you went down to repossess the truck, did you give him any notice that he had the opportunity to make up any of these?
Yes, Your Honor. I asked him if he would please return the truck to me. I even offered to buy him a plane ticket back to Kentucky from Minnesota if he would do that.
And what did he say to you?
He said, I'll do it, and then he would not call me back. I wouldn't be able to get a hold of him for several weeks at a time.
When did you first call him?
I called him...
Mr. Wilson, this smirk is irritating. Go ahead.
I was explaining this to him about a week after he left once I realized that he would not be returning.
When he left to go to Kentucky?
Yes.
When did he notify you that he would not be coming back?
It was about a week after he left. He told me that he wasn't going to be coming back due to his baby and missing his family. At that point, I said, I'll give you the opportunity to make the truck payment. If you do not, it will be going against my credit as well, and I will have to retrieve the truck.
And when did you have the discussion with him?
That discussion with him was had about a week after he...
Which was when?
It would have been the very end of February, first week of March. I also have credit card charges, Your Honor, which would indicate when he returned back to Kentucky.
I'd like to see them, please. Now, the second part of your claim is that he overdrew a joint checking account that you had. And quite frankly, I'm far more interested in that than this truck problem because the truck was an unfortunate exercise for you.
Right.
You got most of your money back.
Right.
The $1,300 is probably a reasonable lesson that you'll never do it again.
Well, the down payment I never got back.
The down payment you did get back, madam. When you sold it, if anything, there was one payment due. I mean, it was a wise thing for you to do. Otherwise, you would have been responsible for the whole thing. But no bank would have gone after him after a week.
But I gave him the opportunity to
No bank would have gone after him after a week. And in all probability, he would not have made these payments. There's no question he wouldn't have made these payments from a moral perspective. But from a legal perspective, if you own a car and you finance it, and if you're 4 days late with a payment, they do not come after you and repossess the car. They don't do it.
Right.
Let's hear about the money in your checking account.
Okay. We opened this joint checking account because I was supporting Mr. Wilson. I gave him a card of his own. Once he started making money, his checks were going to be directly deposited into that account so that we could pay bills together, so on and so forth. When he left, that account was emptied. I foolishly did not close it.
Just a second. When he left, the account was emptied by you.
Yes, Your Honor.
And how much was in the account?
At the time, there was about $1,500 in the account.
Okay. And at the time, Mr. Wilson had been working for about a month.
Correct.
How much money did you put into the account, Mr. Wilson?
Probably about $700.
Okay, fine. And then, according to the plaintiff, Mr. Wilson, you made charges against her bank credit for $2,000. Why did you do that, sir?
I don't think I made that much.
Why did you make any?
I don't think I made about maybe $300, and I figured my money was in there.
Well, let's see how much money. How much money did he charge on the debit card?
I believe the total is about $2,300.
Not about. Figure it out, because then you're going to show it to Mr. Wilson. You need a calculator?
I may need a calculator. There's quite a bit.
Stand over next to her while she's adding this up so you save me a little bit of time, Mr. Wilson. Listen to me, Miss Aubuchon.
Thank you. Yes, Your Honor.
Show him the charge, add it on the calculator. Press on.
Okay.
I know enough about the machine to know they have to press on.
This is the ladder. This is the advance for credit card for food and gas when you left town, food and gas in Kentucky, when you ordered stuff in order to set up your new business in Kentucky, more food and gas, and the Dell computer.
And what do we have as a total?
We have $2,130, I believe.
25 cents on your computer.
This is wrong. That was the difference.
Step back over and don't be a smart mouth. Can I see it, please?
Sure.
Give me the computer. Let him stand right there next to you. Just.
Okay. So unless the decimal is in the wrong place, it should be about $1,595 that I've now added up. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now, Mr. Wilson, you've gone over those charges. That should be your computer in Kentucky, your business in Kentucky, the food and gas in Kentucky. Gone over those charges?
Yes.
Is that right? $1,595?
I don't think so.
Well, how much is it, sir? Here, just a second. Let's do. You add it.
I don't need no calculator. I mean, I really don't.
No, listen to me. Then add it up in your head. Add it up in your head. What?
600.
No. Add up those figures, sir. Give the piece of paper to Smartmouth. Read over the figures that she just added, sir. Come on.
Well, at the time, you know, from Minnesota, Kentucky.
Listen, from Minnesota to Kentucky, give me the charges. Let's go.
Let me see your calculator then. This calculator ain't right.
Can I have the calculator, please? I've been using it for 11 years. Okay. Now, what I want you to do, Miss Aubuchon, this is a challenge. I want you to say the charge, tell me what it was for, and the amount.
Okay. There was a ladder charged at Menards, $220.85.
Don't give me any change.
Okay.
Just round it out to the last
Yes,
dollar.
Your Honor.
$225?
Yep. Advance from credit card, $150. Skywalker Communications, $175. Food and gas in Kentucky, $50. Advance from credit card, $1,000. I'm sorry, I missed that originally. And the Dell computer, $807.
Where's the computer, sir?
I sent it back whenever she notified me about it.
Send it back to whom?
Dale, a long time ago.
Is there a credit?
I was never credited for that, Your Honor.
You owe her $2,407. You got it? Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,407. Listen, Miss Aubuchon,
yes,
you made a mistake.
Yes, Your Honor.
Don't make another mistake.
I won't, Your Honor.
Good. Thank you. That's
Thank
all.
you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Joseph Grieber says defendant Curtis Prinster damaged his vehicle when he sprayed it with gravel. Curtis is countersuing, claiming Joseph filed false charges with police.
Please.
Mr. Grieber, it is your claim that the defendant purposely vandalized your truck.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Prinster says that not only didn't he damage your truck, but that you lied to the police and the authorities, and he is counterclaiming because it said it cost him a lot of money, cost him lost wages, cost him hiring an attorney in order to defend himself against your false accusations. So I'm very curious, Mr. Grieber. I tried to figure out the relationship that you two people have. The best that I could come up with is that you don't like each other because of a girl. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
So why don't you explain your relationship to this girl and Mr. Prince's relationship to the girl?
She was pretty much a neighbor to me.
Just a neighbor?
Yeah.
And what's her name?
Caitlin.
Go ahead.
And she had said that...
Look at me. Don't look at the floor.
Sorry.
Look at me.
She had said that he thought that I was trying to get with her or something like that. And
Okay, so
that's why
Caitlin,
he
your
didn't...
neighbor, who you have no interest in whatsoever,
No, ma'am.
said to you that Mr. Prinster said that you were trying to date her. And
that's the reason he did not like me.
why don't you like him?
Because he caused damage to my vehicle.
And that's the only reason.
Yes, ma'am.
So why don't you tell me when this happened?
This happened on April 21st, 2006. I was detailing my truck at the Tidal Wave Car Wash in Troy, Missouri, and I just found out my uncle died, so that's the reason I was washing my truck, to keep my mind off of everything. And I was finishing up, just putting all my cleaning materials back in the bed of my truck, and then he came up and parked like kind of behind the back of my truck and got out of his car, and I was walking up to get into my truck, and then he proceeded to get out of his car and say, "Are you ready to do this?" like a man, walking up, trying to antagonize me into fighting.
Yeah.
I told him, you know, hey, I'm not in the mood for this. I found out my uncle just died today. I said, I'm not going to deal with any of this. And
Had you had difficulty with him before?
yes, we have. We had one other incident, and that was actually on my county road. He had come out of where Caitlin lived onto the county road, and I was just turning onto my private drive as he came out on the county road, and he slung gravel down the side of my truck, and then I chased him down and grabbed him by his shirt, and I told him, you know, you do it again, then you're going to pay for it.
You didn't say in your complaint, sir, that you grabbed him by the shirt. You said you grabbed him by the throat.
Okay,
What do you mean, okay, something? There's a difference between grabbing somebody by the shirt and grabbing him by the throat. Unless I misread your statement, sir. I don't think so. I got out and grabbed him by the throat and told him the next time he does that to me and my truck, he's going to get it. Didn't they write a song? Isn't there a country song as I Love My Truck?
Yes, there is.
Right? There is.
Truck driver's prayer.
Yeah, no, I love my truck. Okay. So you got out, you grabbed him by the throat and said...
Next time you do it, you're going to get it. And then...
How much later did this incident happen at the car wash?
Approximately 3 weeks.
Okay. And so now we're at the car wash. You're detailing the car. You're just about finished. You're putting the equipment back in. You're brooding over your uncle's recent demise. He comes up. You said, I don't want to get into this with you now because I'm feeling sad.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens?
He says,
Don't look down. Look at you.
He says, I'm going to beat you. And I said, I'm not in the mood. And then I turned around and went to get in my truck. And as soon as I got in my truck, I heard him slam his car door when he got into his car. And he came up along the side of my truck, parallel with the side of my truck. And it comes down like this into a lot. And it's an asphalt lot. And then there's gravel. And then he come up, because my truck was sitting like that. And then he come up and spun. And when he spun, he slung the gravel, the washed gravel, onto my truck. And almost left. And when he left, he went to Buzzy's Liquor.
How did you know he left and went to Buzzy's?
Because I seen where he went.
How far away was Buzzy's?
It's maybe 150 yards, 200 yards.
Okay, so you could see it from where
Yes.
you were?
Yes, ma'am.
And then what did you do?
And that's whenever I called the Troy Police Department.
Did the police officer respond?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that this police officer?
Yes, ma'am.
Just step up, officer. Mr. Mueller, tell me your name, sir.
My name is Wayne Mueller.
Mr. Mueller, you arrived on the 21st of April at this car wash?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what you found when you got there.
Mr. Grieber was extremely upset. He relayed much the same story as he did to you, involving his uncle had just died, and indicated that at that time a green 73 Nova had came aside of his vehicle. There had been a verbal altercation between the two parties. When the green Nova left, he stated that it had spun the tires, spinning gravel into the bedside of his truck. The truck wasn't really applicable due to the colors and lighting. I couldn't take a picture of it. I could feel this damage, and I did observe what appeared to be a 12 to 15-foot acceleration mark going away from Mr. Grieber's vehicle.
What would that indicate to you, sir?
It appeared that a vehicle had definitely accelerated recently because it wasn't covered back over with gravel or debris in any way, and had accelerated away. This would be consistent with the manner that Mr. Grieber advises his vehicle was damaged.
Okay.
Mr. Grieber was upset. The other vehicle was not on scene. I sent the paperwork back with Mr. Grieber. He was unable to give me...
Did Mr. Grieber tell you where the other vehicle had gone?
No, at that time he didn't, ma'am. But he wasn't able to give me a license number or anything at that time.
Was or was not?
Was not, ma'am.
Did he tell you who it was?
Not at that time, time, no, ma'am.
Did he describe the vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
What did he say?
Being a green in color, 1973 Chevrolet Nova.
How long have you been a police officer?
20 years, ma'am.
Wouldn't it be odd if you knew the name of the person who caused damage to your car, not to indicate who it was?
If I may, ma'am.
Yes.
5 days later, he submitted the written statement, and at that time he identified by...
I understand 5 days later. You were going to tell me that. But on the day of the incident...
I found it unusual, too, ma'am, but I had to take into some account his state of mind at that time and his apparent grief.
Well, Officer Mueller, doesn't it sound peculiar to you that he was able to tell you the color and the year of the car through his grief, but not the name of the person who was driving the car?
Not totally, ma'am, no.
That didn't strike you as odd?
Not totally, ma'am, no, ma'am.
Tell me why. It strikes me as odd. Go ahead.
He did indicate this was a subject that he had an ongoing altercation with.
Oh, okay. So at the time you saw him on April 21st, what did he tell you about the person who was driving the green Nova, if he didn't give you his name?
To my recollection, ma'am, he stated that this was a subject. They had had an ongoing altercation. He also indicated, as he had described to you, an indication of an altercation out in the county. He stated that on this date, then, there had been a separate verbal altercation leading to the events as described.
How much after the call did you arrive there?
A matter of minutes, ma'am. We have both the same time. I was called dispatched and time arrived on the report.
But Mr. Grieber didn't tell you that the car was at the liquor store 100 yards away.
He did not, ma'am.
Why didn't you tell him that?
I was extremely upset. I was trying to explain what exactly happened, and then by the time I turned around, and he was not there anymore.
Okay, can I see the report that you did in fact fill out, sir? There? As
Yes,
well
ma'am,
as the one 5 days later?
along with the written statements of both Mr. Grieber and Mr. Prinster.
Okay. Okay, so tell me your version of the events.
The first event, I was leaving work, which is about approximately a quarter mile toward the highway down a county road from his address. And I was leaving work, and as I reached the stop sign, I seen a truck flash his lights and, had his arm out the window, screaming, yelling. So I figured there was something wrong with my car, so I stepped out, opened my door, and I stepped out my car to see what was wrong, and he jumped out with a metal bar. And he said, "You got beef with me because you think me and your old lady dated?" And I said, "I don't know what you're talking about, man. What do you tell you? I'll bust your head with this bar. I'll bust your head with this bar." I just got in my car and left. And about a week later, I believe it was, on the date of the second incident that he's claiming, I was at Tidal Wave Car Wash in the third bay washing my car. And I was just about finished up. I was to the rear of my car and heard some tires squealing. And I looked back into the parking lot, and it was the plaintiff's truck leaving the parking lot. I didn't think nothing of it. I finished washing my car and left and went to Buzzy's liquor store.
All right, so let me understand this, sir. What you're telling me is that you were at the car wash washing your car.
Yes, ma'am.
You were in the third bay?
Third bay.
When you heard car engine revving?
Tires squealing, yes.
Turned around, you saw it was the plaintiff?
Mm-hmm.
You had no words with him?
No, not that day.
Not that day?
No, ma'am.
Officer called me and asked me about the incident in the Tidal Wave car wash. I was unaware of what he was talking about, but I did see the plaintiff there once. I pulled in and I heard tires squealing. I looked back and he was pulling away. I did not think nothing of it. I proceeded to wash my car and I left. After the incident, I went to Buzzy's liquor store to buy turkey tags. What are turkey tags?
It's a wild game in Missouri. Wild
What?
turkey. Burger, they gobble.
Your Honor, if I may, you have to buy a permit to hunt
Yes.
turkey, a special permit to hunt wild turkey. That's what he was buying.
Thank you. What?
You learn something. You learn something new every day here.
Now, nobody was with you on that day. Is that correct, sir?
No, ma'am. Yeah, that is correct.
And nobody was with you?
No. Okay.
Now, this is the girlfriend?
I'm the wife, but
Wife. But she wasn't your wife at the time, is that right?
No, ma'am.
I want you to think very, very carefully, sir.
Okay.
Had your then girlfriend ever told you anything about Mr. Grieber?
Yes, ma'am.
What had she told you, sir?
She had told me that she had been speaking to him.
Look at me.
She had been speaking to him on her cell phone.
What was she speaking to him for?
Not for sure. She just said that she was talking to him on a cell phone, and he said that he was asking questions about me and had a problem with me, and that
He was asking questions about you, like what?
it's been a very long time. I can't really recall it, but she had stated that she had dated him presently for about 2 weeks, and they had a relationship, and it had been long over with.
Go ahead, and?
That's about it.
So she told you that he was asking questions about you?
Yeah.
and that he had a problem with you.
Yeah.
So, how did you feel about that?
There's been lots of people who have problems with me. If I pursued every one of them, I'd be in a lot of trouble.
Good. Good answer. Not good answer that a lot of people have problems with you. That would be a problem. That a lot of people have problems with you. Now, did you ask your then girlfriend if the plaintiff called her or if she called him?
I don't believe I asked that. I was happily in love. She's my wife now. I mean, I wasn't worried about anything.
Well, that would be a question that I might ask. Who called whom?
I'm not sure. I believe.
Who did call whom?
He called me.
And how did he get your number?
From my mother.
Ah, perfect. Mother, stand up. Remember Mr. Grieber?
Oh, sure.
Mr. Grieber ever date your daughter?
Briefly.
He's a neighbor?
Yes. They've been friends for a lot of years. Rode the bus together, that kind of thing.
Well, if they had been friends, then why would he need you to give him Caitlin's telephone number? Don't speak.
She had just recently got a cell phone, so he had called the house looking for her, and I had to give him her cell phone. This would have been in the spring.
Did you have a conversation with your daughter about the conversation that she had with Mr. Grieber?
We've had several conversations about Mr. Grieber, yes. Knew there was kind of, once her and Kurt started dating, I knew there was kind of becoming some issues with Joey and Caitlin. Kind of bloated off because I thought, you know, it'll pass on its own. Until the incident where they had at the end of the road when Joey had pulled the pipe on Kurt. And then that's when, that evening, Joey's mom called me and wanted to know what was going on with the kids. And I said, well, I'm not real sure, but I do know that Joey pulled a pipe on Kurt. And she says, Joey, did you pull a pipe on Kurt? And I could hear him in the background saying, you're effing right, I did. I pulled a pipe on him, blah, 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 blah.
You left that out of your story. You don't want me to call your mother, do you? You left that out of your story, Mr. Grieber.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Why?
I was trying to get everything right, and
You were trying to get everything right? That's not a good thing to get things right by leaving out the fact that you got out of your truck with a pipe. Mr. Grieber, did you tell that to the police officer?
no, I didn't. There was not a statement written on that incident.
Oh, well, just a minute. You had told the police officer you had had a prior incident with him. Did you tell the police officer that you threatened him with a dangerous instrument?
No, I did not.
He didn't, did he?
No, ma'am, although that would have occurred in another venue besides where we were. But yes, ma'am, I still
I
control
don't
this.
care, Officer, because it sounds to me as if there were two incidents. One of those incidents involved a dangerous instrument and a threat involving a dangerous instrument. He left that out.
Yes, ma'am.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you know about that before?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Grieber, you also left out the fact that you had had a social relationship other than just being friends with Caitlin.
No, ma'am, I didn't. I have never had a relationship with her besides a friendship. My cousin has had a relationship with Caitlin. I have not.
Ever take her to the movies?
No, ma'am.
Ever take her out to dinner?
No, ma'am.
Ever kiss her?
No, ma'am.
Now.
We've went fishing, rode around town together, partied together. We've had a relationship.
Well, I'm talking about you can do that as a friend, or you
We
can do that as
kiss.
more than friend.
More than a friend.
Did you ever have an intimate relationship with him?
Yes.
It ended when?
We started beginning of May, ended about the end of May.
Yes.
Could I have her clarify intimate relationship with him?
Sure. Go ahead.
It was intimate.
Sounds to me as if you have more of a problem.
No, I've never dated her. Never done anything with her besides fishing and stuff like that.
Now, you said you looked at this truck, didn't see anything, but you felt something. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, let me ask you this question, officer. There was no way of you ascertaining when these gravel things happened on his truck, is that right?
As reflected in my report, yes, ma'am, there's no way.
Could have happened a couple of weeks before during the incident that he discusses, at least in his complaint and his report, when they met on the road and he got out of his truck with a metal pipe.
Yes, ma'am.
As a matter of fact, he says in the first incident, not the one that you reported on, of course he had a bad attitude towards me and he purposely spun gravel from the road, spraying the side of my truck. I got out, grabbed him by the throat, and told him the next time he does that to my truck, he's going to get it. Left out the pipe. So it's possible that any damage from gravel could have occurred in that incident a couple of weeks before. Is that right?
It's possible, yes, ma'am.
What happened at the hearing, officer?
There wasn't one, ma'am. What had occurred, and then again at the hearing. Mr. Grieber was given the option of proceeding criminally, which was his choice at that time. Prior to this, the prosecutor, and I feel rightly so, advised him, due to the standard of evidence being lower in civil court, that he may have better success in civil court. At that time, he asked me whether I would testify on his behalf, were it to go to civil court, I'd give him my word that I would, hence we're here.
If he had told you the whole story, you would have been a happier camper.
By far, ma'am.
Other than today, sir, have you ever told anybody that you threatened Mr. Prinster with a dangerous instrument?
The day that all of it went down, I had told my mother that.
Other than telling your mother, did you ever tell any other authority?
No, ma'am.
Did Mr. Prinster contact the police when you threatened him with a dangerous instrument?
No, ma'am.
You think he could have?
Oh, yeah.
But he didn't. And you had no basis to threaten him with a dangerous instrument. Is that a fair statement, Joey?
Yes, ma'am.
How much did you pay to the lawyer?
I have a copy of a check for $380. $350, sorry.
What other expenses did you have?
One expense was time off work, you know, lost wages, and I forgot to put a paycheck stub in here. So that's
How many days did you take off from work?
See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 different court dates for the city court, plus one that I had to take off recently to gather the information to fight this case.
7 days. And how much do you earn a day, sir?
At that time, $80 a day.
What kind of work do you do?
Did concrete then, and I do concrete now.
Mr. Grieber, I am not persuaded by your case that on the date that you allege, which was the 21st of April, 2006, that Mr. Prinster damaged your car, so I'm dismissing your claim. I am, however, convinced that when you filed this claim and you told the police a story about what happened, you left out some very vital details. And one of the vital details was that you had threatened grievous bodily harm to the defendant, and that was either a week or 3 weeks before. I also believe that you've been less than candid with me with regard to the relationship that you had with Caitlin.
There was no
I am
relationship.
awarding the defendant on his counterclaim $910, and your claim is dismissed. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused and they step out.
हाय व्हाट्सअप मैं आ चुकी हूँ अपने पूरे YouTube के चैनल में दूसरी वीडियो लेकर पता नहीं मैं कब रेगुलरिटी में वीडियोस बना पाऊँगी। मुझे नहीं लगता वैसे मैं कभी बना पाऊँगी, मैं तो सीरियस हो ही नहीं पाऊँगी शायद कभी। बट आज मैं आई हूँ एक स्पेशल चीज़ लेकर। मुझे बहुत टाइम से सांभर खाना था और पिछले कल मैं मॉल गई थी और मैं वहाँ से अफ़गानी वहाँ पे एक अफ़गानी शॉप थी जहाँ पे अफ़गान से चीज़ें आती हैं। तो अफ़गान का सांभर नोट सांभर अफ़गान का हींग बहुत अच्छा बोलते हैं, तो मैं वो लेने के लिए गई थी एंड 650 रुपये का 200 ग्राम मिला है, बट स्टिल लीव इट। मुझे चाहिए था तो मैं लेकर आई और आज मैंने सोचा कि उसका यूज़ किया जाए, तो मैं जा रही हूँ किचन में और आप लोग भी आ जाओ मेरे साथ में। आज हम मिलके सांभर बनाएंगे। तो ये मेरी सब्जियों ने नहा लिया है एंड ऑब्वियसली मैं ये सब कुछ नहीं डालने वाली हूँ इसमें से, लाइक गोभी का मैंने कुछ पार्ट काट के पानी में डाल के रख दिया है धोने के लिए एंड मूली भी मैं थोड़ी ही डालूँगी। 2 मिर्चें डाल के कह रही हूँ कि मैं स्पाइसी नहीं खाती हूँ। तो अब हम साथ साथ में सारी सब्जियों को काटते चलेंगे क्योंकि बहुत ही बारीक तो काटना नहीं है, तो इट्स इजी, हम काट सकते हैं एंड साथ साथ में हम अपना तड़का भी रेडी कर देंगे। मैं बहुत बड़ी मल्टीटास्क करूँ। एक चीज़ मिसिंग है कि हमने अभी तक दाल को बॉईल करने नहीं रखा है और मेरी मम्मी ने मुझे बोला है कि बिल्कुल एक आधी सी सीटी लगानी है दाल को, दैट्स इट। तो मैं अब वही करूँगी पहले। तो ये रहा मेरा कुकर एंड दाल भी मैंने लेकर के आई है। ए गिर क्यों रहे हो तुम? ये रही मेरी दाल। ये इतनी सब्जियों के हिसाब से इतनी दाल काफ़ी होगी। तो ये मैंने डाल दिया है इसमें तेल, हल्दी, नमक एंड ऑफ कोर्स हींग, जिसके चक्कर में मैं ये सारा टैंट्रम कर रही हूँ। तो मेरा पानी हो चुका है गर्म, थोड़ी इमली मैंने खा भी लिया और इसको हम रख देंगे साइड में। जब इसकी ज़रूरत पड़ेगी हम इसको तभी निकालेंगे। ओके बाय। अब मैं रखने जा रही हूँ कढ़ाई और मैं इसको कर देती हूँ ऑन और साथ साथ में हम सब्जियां काटते रहेंगे, तब तक हमारा तड़का भी तैयार हो जाएगा। तो मैंने इसमें डाल दिए हैं काली वाली सरसों, लाल मिर्च और जीरा मैंने एक गलती कर दी है कि मुझे जीरा पहले नहीं डालना चाहिए था, जीरा जल्दी फूक जाता है, बट ओके, अब जल जाए तो जल जाए। और यहाँ पे मेरी सब्जियाँ भी रेडी हो गई हैं। द इशू इज़, मुझे लग रहा है कि मेरे पास सब्जियाँ ज़्यादा हैं और मैंने दाल कम बॉईल करी है और मेरे पास पीलर नहीं है। मैं गरीब हूँ तो मैं आलू को छुरी से ही छीलती हूँ। इवन मैंने मूली भी ऐसे ही छीली। कितना दुख है मेरी जिंदगी में। तो मेरा मसाला हो चुका है तैयार। इसमें मैंने हल्दी और नमक मिला दिया है। बस मैं इसके पकने का वेट कर रही हूँ एंड देन आई विल ऐड ऑल माय वेजिटेबल्स। सो पहले डाली है मैंने शिमला मिर्च, फिर मैंने डाले हैं आलू, टमाटर, थोड़े और टमाटर, बीन्स और थोड़ी और मूली। लास्टली मैंने इसमें ऐड करी है हरी मिर्ची, जो मैंने 2 निकाली थी, और अब बची है मेरी गोभी। सब कुछ ऐड हो चुका है। अब हम इनको थोड़ी देर पकाएंगे एंड इस तरफ मेरी दाल भी बॉईल हो चुकी है अच्छे से एंड देन वी गोना मिक्स इट। अब हम इसको थोड़ी देर ढक के रख देंगे। हमें इनको तब तक पकाना है जब तक वेजिटेबल्स आधी लेवल तक पक ना जाए। I miss you, mommy. And now I guess मेरे कहाँ ले जा रही हूँ मैं इसको। मेरे सारी सब्जियाँ पक चुकी हैं। I mean पूरी नहीं, बाकी तो हम अभी इसमें स्टीम लगवाएंगे। But I guess मसालाज आर रेडी, they are cooked. And अब हम इनको डालेंगे अपने कुकर में। और ये अभी फ़िलहाल ऐसा दिख रहा है, थोड़ा थिक है। इसमें अभी हम पानी ऐड करेंगे एंड पानी हम इस बर्तन में ऐड करेंगे ताकि एक भी मसाले का तिनका बचना नहीं चाहिए। अब ये थोड़ा सा सांभर की तरह दिखने लग तो गया है, लेकिन अभी तक इसकी सब्जियां कच्ची हैं और हमने इसमें इमली भी ऐड करनी अभी बाकी है। तो आपको क्या करना है, इसको बस ऐसे फोड़ लेना है। इसमें से इसके छिलके और इसकी जो रूट्स हैं उनको आपको अलग कर लेना है एंड देन अलग करने के बाद आपको इसको डाल देना है कुकर में। तो ये निचुड़ चुका है एंड ये रहा मेरा इमली का सारा रस। अगर इन केस ये कम हुआ, मतलब जितना खट्टा मुझे चाहिए है, मुझे ज़्यादा खट्टा सांभर पसंद है, तो मैं इसमें लास्ट में बाद में ऐड कर सकती हूँ। एंड इसमें मुझे अभी थोड़ा सा और नमक भी ऐड करना है क्योंकि हमने इसमें पानी ऐड किया है और मैं इसकी कंसिस्टेंसी थोड़ी सी और पतली करना चाहूँगी क्योंकि मुझे ये इडली के साथ खाना है। अगर आपको सांभर डोसे के साथ खाना है तो ये वाली कंसिस्टेंसी परफेक्ट है। कैन यू इमेजिन, मैं ये लहसुन डालना भूल गई हूँ। एक तो मैं गरीब, मेरे पास जिंजर गार्लिक पेस्ट नहीं था और मैं ये लहसुन भी डालना भूल गई हूँ। तो मैं क्या करने वाली हूँ, इसको बस छील के छोटा छोटा चॉप करके ऐसे ही डाल दूंगी, वो बॉईल हो जाएगा। तो ओके, तो सब कुछ ऐड हो चुका है और मैंने ये टेस्ट करके देखा है। नमक का तो पता नहीं, बट मुझे खट्टा कहीं नहीं लग रहा है, तो आई गेस मुझे बाद में और खट्टा डालने की जरूरत पड़ने वाली है। बट लेट्स सी, पहले हम इसको 2 विसल लगवा लेते हैं, उसके बाद वी विल डिसाइड कि इसका क्या करना है। अब मैं आ चुकी हूँ वापस अपने ब्लोअर के पास क्योंकि मुझे ठंडा लग रहा था। अब मैं वेट कर रही हूँ 2 की आने का क्योंकि मुझे अब भूख भी लगने लग गई है। टाइम हो गया है 8:37, मुझे डिनर करना है और अभी इसका टेस्ट का भी सुधार करना पड़ेगा मुझे। बड़ा दुख है जिंदगी में। ओके, सो 2 सीटी के बाद ये कुछ ऐसा दिख रहा है एंड आई एम गोइंग टू टेस्ट। Perfect. It's spicy. It's अबे यार सोर खट्टा है, तीखा है और नमक कम है। बस हमें बस थोड़ा सा नमक ऐड करना है एंड इट्स रेडी। फाइनली मैं खाने वाली हूँ। सो मैंने खा लिया है एंड इट वाज टू गुड। मैंने जो इडलीज लाई थी वो मैं बाहर से रेस्टोरेंट से लेकर आई थी, क्योंकि मेरे पास इतना टाइम नहीं था कि मैं खुद से बना सकूँ, और मेरे पास इडली मेकर भी नहीं है। तो उसके साथ में ही मैंने वो 2 चटनीज़ भी लेकर आई थी एंड इट वाज अ परफेक्ट डिनर। अब मैं अगले 2-3 दिन तक ही सांभर ही खाने वाली हूँ, मुझे पता है, मैं किसी को नहीं दूंगी। थैंक यू सो मच लास्ट तक बने रहने के लिए, एंड नेक्स्ट वीडियो में मिलते हैं, जो शायद पता नहीं कब आएगी, जब भी आएगी तब मिलते हैं। बाय बाय, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर वॉचिंग, हैव फन।